Yeah, we're good to go.
Oh, we're good to go to start. All right. What is good, beautiful people? Welcome to the Shaman Show. I'm Shaman.
I'm the Fonz.
And this is the Fonz. And we're
Today we
recording
have pineapple.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, you was telling me. You were saying, oh, what we're going to
I
have?
didn't make a nice noise.
You didn't say what we was going to have today,
I said we got
did ya?
melon or pineapple, but you're going to get surprised as to what you actually get.
I don't want to be a food snob, but is it M&S pineapple?
It's pineapple.
Oh, yes. We sorted then. It's all good.
Do you know what? The reason why I didn't tell you what it was going to be is because I put them both on the side last night and I set the chopping board out and the knife out. I hadn't given them a squeeze yet.
Yeah.
So do you know when you give the squeeze, you go, which one is viable? Which one's really ripe now? And it turns out the pineapple was basically a day away from going off. So it is really
Perfect.
sweet. But yeah, basically by the end of this show, it will be gone off with the lid being left open.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah. So you had to fondle your fruit before you could pick.
Mate, you've got to fondle your fruit before you pick one. Do you know what I'm saying?
For sure. We were recording at a different time today, ain't we, mate?
Well,
Like-
this is it. We were, actually, I wasn't going to say anything because I
Oh,
wanted to see
weren't
if
ya?
they noticed, like, oh, there's a different vibe in this one
Oh,
this week.
yeah.
I mean,
I should've let
obviously
it roll.
we're wearing
Should've let
some
it roll.
beautiful accessories here because the one issue that we've thought is the main issue
Yeah.
is the sound.
Definitely.
Like, so the first episode I was far too loud, then last episode you were louder than me, so
Yeah.
now it's trying to balance it out. So we
Trying
have
to get
these
that.
on. So maybe I lean back a little bit and look over that way, maybe you lean in a little bit. But basically what we've said
Yeah,
is we've
yeah.
both got mozzie bites. No scratching near the
Oh,
mics.
mate. From the convergence as well that we went to.
See, I was great. Right? Because you saw me all like
Mate, you
covered
turn
up.
up,
I'm
like,
like all proper
mecked
covered
out.
up, like literally looking like a roadman because I know what the mozzies are like, and I know it's not just that; it's the horseflies as well.
Yeah.
So there's all these different bugs that just want to eat you alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine was yesterday, just walking around in a pair of shorts all day, and then in the evening, all the mozzies would just come in and
Nibbling you.
feasted on me, mate, during the
Yeah,
night. So now, obviously, we're talking about it. I'm starting to think about it, and now I'm realising more bites all over my body.
Go on here.
So just
Go
don't
on
bring
there.
your awareness to it, basically. That's the answer. But yeah, we are shooting at different times.
Yeah.
Because sometimes life, and so we have to work around these things.
Life be lifing. So
Exactly.
5:30 a.m. We're rocking it out. You know.
where it's at.
You know.
So what's the question for today, or do we have any thoughts from last week?
Yeah,
Any
I
things that we wanted to reflect on now that you've seen the video?
I did want to talk about the convergence as well.
Oh,
We
okay.
went to the convergence on Saturday, and it's the first UK wide F3 convergence.
So while it wasn't the most amount of people we've had at one workout, it is the most amount of various different places, like
Yeah.
AOs, different areas of operation. I think we had about like 12 different, places come
Yeah.
along, which was really cool.
it was really, really cool. We had guys from up north.
And further up north.
Yeah, and further
Down
up north.
south,
Is that
and
right?
further down south.
He's right in the highest.
Gateshead, yeah.
Yeah.
Gateshead is like right up near Scottish border.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
then we had guys from London, Surrey. And it was really, really cool because everyone you're speaking to, like, they've all got different accents if you've never met them before,
Yeah.
but they're wearing the F3. They're part of our crew. Do you know what I mean? It was a really cool feeling, to be fair.
One
It
of
was
the
a
funny
great
things
day.
is people recognise me because of my voice.
Yeah.
Because I've done the disclaimers. Well, not all of them, but I've done a lot of the disclaimers that people hear. And so one dude come out, he's like, Fonz! Oh, mate, I've heard you every single workout. I hear you at the beginning of it. And I'm like, mate, never meet your heroes.
Don't make me. Actually, on the car journey on the way home with Buddha, he said the same thing. He was like, I spoke to the Fonz, and as soon as he opened his mouth, he's like,
That's the
Are
guy.
you the fucking
Yeah,
guy?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're the fucking guy.
I do have a
pretty
very
cool.
distinctive voice. Everyone says my voice is just super loud as well. Like, and it's exactly the same thing. I heard you before I saw you. I heard you before I
Yeah.
saw you. And that, I get that at least once or twice a week.
And you're not, this is the thing, like, you're not trying to be loud. You're not trying to be the loudest guy. You're just loud. It's just naturally, your voice just projects. I guess the same way I'm just naturally
I
quiet.
can make it project more, in terms of
Yeah,
if
you
I
could
want
turn it
to
up
be
still.
louder, then absolutely. But I just can't even help it. That's the thing. I can whisper and I can talk quietly like that, and it's all good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just my normal voice is my laugh is quite loud as well. Actually, that's what usually
sufficient.
clips the microphone.
Bap, 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 bap. Right, so. Oh, sorry, guys. We got the.
So that's a slow start today. We figured it out.
I have got the question for today.
Okay, so we've got a question for today.
And I guess it's almost like a two-pronged question. And the question is, how does maturing or success in an area of your life too soon affect your future self?
So, how does maturing or succeeding too soon affect your future self?
Yeah.
In a word, negatively. No, I mean, the thing is, everyone wants to go faster. Everyone wants more and more and more. Everyone wants to 10x or 100x. Everyone's looking for the insider track. Like, everyone's kind of wants to get there before everyone else. We've got this obsession with being first.
Yeah.
We've got this obsession with faster, 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 more, more, more. And, mate, I mean, to use a good example, just look at basically any child actor. They're thrust into that limelight. They are thrust into a mature world before they're fully matured. Mm-hmm. So they mature very quickly in one area of their life.
And they leave behind
everything else.
Including their childhood.
And exactly that, yeah. And so, there's so many things which we think, oh, I want to get there faster, or I want to be there. That looks like a great place to be. And it might be a great place to be, but only if you're ready to be there. Yeah. Only if you've actually set your life up as such that, for example, I want to be at the top of the mountain. That looks cool. It's like, it's not just cool, mate. It's fucking freezing. If you haven't prepared your body yourself, like it's, have you been up that high? Have you acclimatized to being like,
are you still wearing Converse?
You've got Crocs on, mate. The idea being that people think they want the thing, but they're actually not ready for the thing oftentimes. And so, the idea of like the success thing too early. So Dan Bilzerian said this. I watched this a while back, and he said basically, I've had the best of the best stuff.
Yeah.
I've had all the orgies. I've had all the best food. I've been cooked the best food by the best chefs in the best restaurants in the world.
Yeah.
So where do you go from there? What do you do now once you've had the best of the best, and you go, okay, that was great. And you can't have worse than that now. That's your kind of baseline. You've readjusted to the best.
You've got a battle to maintain being at the best, which
How do
takes
you
a
top
lot
that?
of resources, time and effort. Or the only way is down. And that's quite a bleak outlook, especially if you're in a place where you feel like you've got so much more in life to give. As soon as you hit that peak, you can kind of feel it on certain people as well. If they've been accustomed to the best of the best, then going back to just having what's necessarily, what could really, what's the word, satisfy them, satiate them and satisfy them, now becomes irrelevant. And it's
and you're constantly chasing a high. You're constantly trying to improve upon a thing that was already the best of what it was. And you're kind of trying to do it in the blink of an eye, because while it might take someone 30, 40, 50 years to become a master in their craft, let's just say they're cooking sushi. Or you don't cook sushi, but preparing sushi. So you go, okay, cool, I'm going to have this sushi prepared by the best chef in the world. I go, great, that was good. Now I want that topped. It's like, well, you might have to wait another 40, 50 years. You know what I'm saying?
It took him 50 years to get there, and now you turn up at 19 years old.
For someone else to come along and really want to top that, it's like... So, to me, the idea of that too much too soon, it will crush you in whatever way, shapes or forms it come. Even if you think it's a great thing, like, you win the lottery at, 18, 19, and you go, oh, great, all my money problems are over. Bullshit. Your money problems have just started. You don't realise what money problems are yet. You've never really had them. Why? Because so far you've been broke. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if that's the thing at that point, you go, oh, great, I've won the lottery. I don't need to think about that anymore. All you will think about now for forevermore is money, and how probably you fucked it up.
Yeah.
Because you weren't ready. So.
It's crazy, like, having all these things really does destroy your ability to be grateful in life as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, just accepting things for as they are and finding the joy and enjoyment out of small things that aren't necessarily life-changing.
I think you lose perspective.
Yeah.
That is literally what it is. And money... in a weird way, it blinds people. Yeah. It blinds people to the truth. It blinds people to what they want, what they need, whatever it might. It's just a massive amount of money. It's kind of like a super, super hot girl. It's got a field of distortion around it.
It's like a tyranny.
Yeah. But that money, it might not be physical cash. That money could be power.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, because money really is just a proxy for power in that way, But actually, you can have all the money in the world, or, you could be the person who has the most out of everyone, but you kind of really can still have zero power. Yeah. So the power of it is the intoxicating thing. It gives me the power to go into that place and buy that thing. Yeah. You don't need the money for that. If you knew the person who owned the thing, you can go, hey, can I have your thing? And if he liked you or she liked you, you go, yeah, sure.
Take the thing.
Have the thing. Don't even worry about bringing it back. It's yours, man. Keep it. Yeah. So, funnily enough, over the years, I've not, recent years, I used to think about money. and how can I get money? Because that was the game. That's what everyone sort of plays, the money game. And I thought about it. I thought, well, what is money? Money is the ability to influence or persuade someone to do what you want them to do,
100%.
basically, yeah? Even if it's not for yourself, you go, okay, well, I want to throw a party for my friend. Okay, well, you still need
Money.
Money to do the thing. But I thought, well, actually, if you're able to influence and persuade the people who have all the money, you don't need the money. You just need to be able to influence, persuade the people with it, or not even with the money, with the stuff, with the So again, you want to sleep with a beautiful woman, you go, oh, I need money, but not necessarily, because you can sleep with a beautiful woman
if
you've got
offer.
Exactly that.
That's another way of
persuasion. All of these other skills in life can be traded for money, let's say. And so in my mind, that's the kind of ultimate goal, is to attain the competence, which is what we were talking about last week, the competence and the skills, to be able to, not in a manipulative way like, I'm going to leave you worse off than I found you because I'm going to take your shit, but in a way of, look, do you know what? If you actually spent a bit of your money over here, that will come back to you tenfold in other ways. And don't even give it to me. Like, I don't want to be a person you transfer it through. I'm just saying, I see this over here, and I see you having that, and I see the two working well together. And I just want to stay out of it in that sort of sense. But hey, man, if you want to, give me blessings, as you call it, along the way, like, great, because that's cool. But yeah, the idea to me of that a zero sum. Well, here's a fiver, that's my fiver, and you don't get any. That kind of. I'm like, nah, man, come on. I just can't be doing with that. So building things. Sorry, I was bringing it back around to the big thing of not maturing too quickly, not having too much too soon. If you're playing the competence game, the skill game, it takes time, man. It takes reps. It's a physical world thing. It's not it's on or it's off. It's not a binary digital thing.
It's a grayscale for sure.
You have to work at it. And you know what? Entropy is as such that your muscles will decay, your brain will decay. Yesterday will affect today, and last year will affect this year. And over time, even if you're working on improving, ultimately you're going to end up in the dust.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of element to it of, it's almost impossible to mature too soon in that real physical thing. Does that make, you can try and push yourself
in the skill of it, you can't.
But you can only achieve the skill as you do the reps, and you just got to do the reps over the time.
Oh, it's interesting that you say that as well. Like for me, skills and I see virtues as skills.
Yeah.
So not like they're these grand things like setting boundaries and diligence and discipline and introspection. These they are virtues,
developable skills,
but they are all developable.
I know. When I said it correctly, I was shocked. I was like, developable. Oh, that was right.
A star.
Keep going. Keep talking.
They're all developable skills, and so the things that we're given often, the things that are just naturally given to us, if they have that force field effect, like what you mentioned about a beautiful woman. If ever you've been around a beautiful woman, you'll understand the effect that it has, particularly on men.
I've never met one. I'm hoping.
Particularly on men, that it has. It doesn't take any skill. It doesn't take any skill to be a beautiful woman. Let's say you're a young lady and you walk into a post office full of men. That post office is not the same now that you're in it,
completely different place,
as it was when you were out of it, because it warps how men behave. The same with being a big guy and being an intimidator. You can warp people's actions and behaviour based on how you act and what you put into the world. It's not necessarily a skill. It's just something you innately have. Look at Nelson from The Simpsons. He's a great example of a bully. As soon as he turns up,
vibe changes.
Everybody whoops. Everybody starts moving different and mad. And it's like, can I have your lunch money? And I'm, oh, wicked, cool. I didn't have to develop any type of skill. I just came over and fucking took it. And like when you was talking about money is essentially a resource version of that. If I have a lot of money, I don't need to charm the pants off of you. I don't need to build rapport with you. I don't need to love or like or trust you. I just give you a bunch of money and you do what I say.
Everything's transactional in that way.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Like, I never really thought about money in that sense until you just brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. So when you achieve maturity in some way, like funnily enough, you just said about the hot girl, and it doesn't take skill. So you can get a perfectly sweet, innocent, lovely kid who goes through puberty, and say 2-3 years later, they look completely different, and their personality as a result is going to be completely different, not based on anything they themselves chose to do, just based on biology and life, because life be lifing. And the very fact that everyone around you is going to treat you differently.
Yeah.
So even if you don't want to treat others differently, you will purely as a result of being treated differently.
Yeah, if you don't consciously work on a skill to accommodate who you are, and you let just who you are dictate the pace of how you go through life, subconsciously, your personality will warp, and you will have gaping holes in your abilities and your skills and how you can interact in the world based off of who you are. Like the beautiful girl, she may become more self-absorbed because every time she walks into a room, everybody's all about her. They're on their knees, putting her on a pedestal.
Or slagging her. So if you're a woman, you're going to be slagging her off.
Yeah. Oh, like, yeah.
And that's funny enough, as you were saying these things, I thought actually like really hot women are probably some of the loneliest people in a sense, because women hate them because they're just such sexual competition, and men are fearful of them / envious, in that kind of a way, and
they're terrified,
like resentful that that.
Yeah, they idolise. Yeah. And then when they realise it's unattainable, they will hate them as well. They'll jump in straight with the women and hating them and envying them.
And so I think, but for a really handsome, good-looking, kind of like studly guy, it's a different thing. Because
it doesn't.
Unless you're a dickhead, like if you're just a cool guy, guys are gonna like you. They're not gonna try and tear you down.
No.
Because you're kind of winning for the team in that way. Now, if you're fucking everyone's girl, then that's a whole different thing.
Hey, we've got a caveat there.
But again, the idea that the guy actually in that situation is going to have a better time of it maturing early. The guy that matures early. No one feels sorry for the 15-year-old kid who sleeps with the teacher if he's a boy.
Nobody.
But everyone thinks like the teacher who sleeps with the 15-year-old girl is a monster and she's pure and innocent, and it's like. It's just a double standard society.
100%.
So there's certain things in terms of maturing in certain ways. So, like, if you're a man financially, you kind of want to mature as early as you can, in a sense.
Yeah, if possible.
I'm not saying it's healthy ultimately to just completely mature and only in that way. But if you're going to get rich in your 70s, well, that's not going to work for you for your whole life. But if you can get rich in your late teens, early 20s, or at least make something.
If you could pick, you'd pick earlier, wouldn't you?
But also, this is what I would pick. I would pick a little, or a bigger jump early, and then a gradual incline. Like a steep, and then a gradual incline. To death, and then off. Versus bang, and then all the way down. Just like literally, you make $1 billion, and then it just fritters away day by day, and you're scared of losing it, and you wonder every day, what am I going to do in my life? What am I going to do? And you've literally just frittered away your entire life.
Yeah, like them giant spikes, they also come with valleys that you can't see at the same time. So if you're a trust fund baby, and you get that giant spike early in finances, like there's a huge amount of different skills and developments that you now don't have to develop. I don't have to learn to cook food because Chef Susie's over there 24/7 waiting on me to say, Susie, can you make me some food, please? Like, do you know what I mean?
I never have to clean up. I never have to worry about that.
And so it sets that off balance. So it's worth introspecting and taking a look. Was there anywhere that I kind of had a good amount of success in an area without necessarily putting in those reps and that skill? Because usually along with that, and depending on the amount of that spike, you're gonna have a valley that opposes it if you don't actively work against it.
Well, that's life balancing you out.
Yeah.
That's okay, you've got all this shit, but you need to learn this shit.
Yeah.
So and the reason why you have the valley is because you had the big spike because you didn't learn the thing. Whereas if you wouldn't have had the spike if you learned the thing.
Yeah.
Because you'd maintain it, you'd handle it. It would be more even kill, and that spike would be flattened out over a longer period of time.
100%.
But that's the issue, is we're in this world now so underprepared for the things that come our way.
Yeah.
And there is, mate. And it's kind of astounding when you think about the future of the human race depends on males and females copulating and making new males and females. And yet, there is no class taught. None.
It's literally being eradicated because those superficial peaks are being glorified to a point where leveling out and making sure that your valleys don't go too deep it's not even
considered.
Modesty in ladies, it's being eroded in Western culture.
But the pendulum will swing.
Oh, it will.
100%.
Yeah, 100% it will. So, like, I guess a small question to you, I'm going to explain myself first as well, so you've got time to think about it. Is there any peaks of success that you got early, and what valley did it create? So for me, I would say my peak was being able to pick things up quite quickly. Even though I would consider myself a little bit of a dummy, there were certain things like I could see something and then I'd be able to pick it up quite quick. And what I didn't realise early on, which I did correct myself on, was because I picked it up so quickly, I never had to work hard. I never ever had to work hard to do it. So while other kids may struggle with certain things, whether it's like rhythm or just kind of seeing something and being able to execute it, I pick it up. But when that wall came, when it was time to go, I fucked that up. That wasn't good. I butchered that. Now it's time to get back on the horse and do it again. Get back on the horse and do it again and do it again. Like,
you didn't have that.
I didn't have it in me. I didn't have the steam. Once I hit the first wall and I hit that, like Takeshi's Castle, you know when they're running through those bloody walls?
No, but go on.
So Takeshi's Castle.
The only thing that I know that runs through a wall is the Kool-Aid guy, and that's only because of Family Guy.
So they've got these giant cardboard walls essentially, and there's like 10 or 15 of them, and they just flood like 100 people in, and they're all running, and they've got to jump through the wall, but you don't know if you're going to blow
Solid
through it
or
solid. And so like, whenever I hit the first wall, I just stop. I didn't have a second line of attack or a third line of attack, and that would go with everything. That would be standing my ground with relationships and setting boundaries with people, and just trying in
Hence
general.
your dad, do you want to be treated like a king or a cunt?
Yeah. Do you want to be treated like a king or a cunt? 100%, because if you let people in and let them do that, then you're going to be treated like a cunt. Simple as. So I seen the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
And that one
quote.
stuck with me.
Say that one again slower, just because
sorry.
if someone's never heard it before,
Yeah.
like, you know, they want to write it down.
Yeah. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And what I realised when I read that quote was that I was technically talented. I wasn't working hard. And it's a tough pill to swallow to take a look at that shadowy aspect of yourself and go, oh man, I am fucking up here. I'm just right at the bottom of the barrel here.
Would you consider yourself a lazy person?
I would definitely lean towards being lazy than self-driven. When I'm around people who are super driven and are just balls to the wall with it, it's not to say that it's something that I can't relate to, because I do have those pockets of time where I do get super obsessed about things and I hyper focus and I'm just fucking
because that's the thing. I would say you do the reps. You are someone who and the reason why I know you do the reps is because I've seen you do the form, and you can't do the form unless you've done the reps.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so you can work backwards from seeing one thing and you go, right, this tells me all that stuff about you.
Yeah.
Like Sherlock style, you know. And obviously you can't do it to that Hollywood degree, but you go, no, actually it's pretty accurate. You can tell a lot of stuff. You can be pretty on point with a lot of things just based on one or two things that demonstrate a quality, let's say. Yeah,
100%. And like, that's my primary battle. My primary battle is doing the thing that in my mind I don't want to do. So a lot of my shadow is in the lower quarter. I'm an addict by nature. I'm an addict by nature. I am pleasure seeking, comfort focused, and I am pain averse. I know that. I don't want to do the hard shit. Just give me some dairy milk and get me a blanket and put me in front of the TV, man. Like, that's where I'm most comfortable. And so I know that the skill that I need to develop is in the warrior quarter, the field of struggle, and having to dig deep and do the things that I know I don't want to do, whether that's press ups on the concrete in the early morning, whether it's
washing up,
whether it's washing up, whether it's grinding through a single page of a book that takes me 7 minutes. Oof. Like for me, I use my book. That's a great example of like focus and discipline for me. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I read. Like I like to get information from books, but my biggest battle is, hey, like my concentration is going off here, and I'm a very slow reader, so it could take me 10 to 15 minutes to get through a single double page. And my partner
single double page.
Have you got a single double?
I know what he means, but
what do you like on a cheeseburger? I have a single double, please.
But it's funny because in this world, it's not set up to aid us in the reading of the book. And I know exactly what you mean, because I've been doing exactly the same thing recently. I've been trying to put the iPad down, put down the moving, flashing, woo woo kind of. I'm not a TikToker. So I don't even watch the flashy bells and whistles and all the blah, blah, blah. I've started watching some slow living farm life. You know, we're going to watch an hour video restoration of this barn roof type shit. You know,
it's beautiful,
we've got the purlins and we're just sanding them down, and we got another purling and we're sanding it down, and we got this other purling and we're sanding it down, and you know what I mean? It is like,
honey, have you got the fifth purling?
Slow life kind of style stuff. And yet even I struggle to go outside and just read a book, because there's no audio, there's no visual, and you read a sentence and your brain's already gone off somewhere, and you go, wait, why did I just read? And you try and read it again, and you go, wait, what does that mean? Wait, what did I just read? In your brain, it's so difficult.
It really is.
And so to make yourself do that, it's not physical difficulty. You're not going to be sweating. It's not uncomfortable and painful in that physical realm sense. It's just really difficult to do.
It's fucking hard.
It's really
hard, man.
to do. And so that kind of focus and discipline is a skill in itself.
Yeah.
And you can then apply that to other things. So I 100% empathise with what you're saying, because I'd say I'm lazy, lover, addict guy.
Oh,
you know,
really?
give me a dairy milk and a blanket on the sofa.
Mate.
I kind of want to do nothing. I too classed as talented, I guess. People go, oh, you're so talented. So, you know, that's what people see. I say, no, I think I work hard, but I do pick things up very quickly. And I've always said throughout my life, I've got the being ill, got to deal with that. I can't do anything about that. It's not a choice. It's just I have to be ill and deal with whatever that throws my way.
Yeah.
But life in all of its infinite wisdom, it gave me my amazing brain, which helps me to pick things up like that. It helps me to see things. It helps me this, and this, and this, and this. And it was up until one point like this ultimate impenetrable fortress. And people, how are you always just like this? Just am, you know. And not so much anymore. It has cracked since then, and I'm working on that Japanese thing where you repair it with the gold and stuff to make it even better and more beautiful than before. That's the kind of concept I'm going for.
Yeah, I love that.
But I also have worked extremely hard in the staying alive arena, you know, in terms of the, not necessarily I've worked on being healthier once I'm okay, trying to get better. It's like, oh, fuck it, I'm okay again. You know, and then it's like going downhill again. It's like, okay, right, putting the brakes. And so you've seen me work hard at the workouts, and you know that I have that really aggressive, pushing hard, explosivity kind of bit to me. But at the same time, fucking lazy, man, as well. I really am. So yeah, for me, in that sense, I have the both, and I have my natural being ill, so therefore my biological staying alive thing kicks in, but my personality is the same. Yeah. So while I do it, I don't do it in all areas in terms of trying to improve, right? I do it in trying not to get worse.
Yeah.
Make sense? Now, however, on the drums, on the keys, with my singing, everything like that, I'm doing the opposite. I'm not trying to go faster. I'm not trying to do more. I'm actually trying to do less. I'm trying to do it slower, and I'm trying to do it better. Yeah. I'm trying to make it that reliable, consistent quality, just again and again and again. It's just so smooth and so beautiful. It looks magical in its simplicity. You go, well, he's just doing the thing that he just showed me how to do, and I just did the same thing, but why the fuck doesn't it sound anything like that? How is it a completely different thing, even though it's the same thing? That's kind of what I'm going for. And then from that, other things can be born out, i.e. you actually can do more and faster, and you can do this and you can do that. But to begin with, you must go the opposite way to the way that you've been trying to go. Yeah. You kind of need to change your trajectory to make sure, and stocks and shares and shit like this do this, you try and go down the other way and you hit this bottom line. It's like, I cannot get any worse than this now. Like, this is kind of as bad as it gets. The only way is up. And you keep checking that bottom line. You keep reinforcing that and saying, no, this is, you know, if I keep doing this thing every day, it's even if I tried to fuck it up, I almost couldn't, because the reps are so that it's just so naturally ingrained. Yeah. And so for me now, trying to actually do what I should have done 20 years ago is where I'm at. I kind of, you know, matured, say, early in many respects, and I didn't think I was going to live past 32. Wow, so that idea of I have to have a whole life in a sort of a third of a life, let's say. Not only that, I wanted a really fucking cool life. I wanted to experience it. I didn't want to miss out on things.
Give me all the bells and whistles, man.
Yeah, man. It's, you know, if there's a cool thing that sort of speaks to me that, look, I want to give that a go, then I don't want to shuffle off this mortal coil without at least giving a go, the giving a go. Yeah,
you know, give it a proper shot.
I'm like, well, look, that thing's over in that country over there. Well, first things first, let's just try and get over to that country. If I can do that, then I've got a shot at doing the thing. Yeah. And so, for me, I'm in a very much now position of where do I go from here? So I've had the business, I've had the women, I've had the, you know, I've done all the things to a degree. Yeah. Yeah. And I've lived the most extreme kind of, you know, you say, you reverse the pain. I feel you, bro. 100%. But I struggle with it every single day and have done I mean, basically my entire life. When I think about pain, and I think about, now I have it in these places, but actually previous to that, I had it in those places. And that was a daily thing, and that was a nightly thing. And so I've never been without it. And I kind of run from it, and I run from being me, and have run from being me a lot. And the irony is there's often times where I can't physically even move. So you're trying to run from something and you can't physically even move off the chair that you're in. Yeah. You're struggling just to breathe in and out. You're literally struggling to just exist there. You can't even speak words. You can't do things. You just, you know, and you're like gasping for air, sat on a chair or sat in a bed. It's so uncomfortable. And that is your life. Yeah, and you're like, well, I'm just going to die now. You know, that's me done. I've kind of lived. There's nothing left on my list of things that I want to do that I've not done. So there's nothing keeping me around, let's say. There's not like, oh, I just wish I could. No, I couldn't. I've done it. I've fucking brilliant. I've experienced it all, you know. And I'm very, very happy with the lot I've had in many, many respects. And to try and keep eking out an existence, it's so exhausting. I'm like, fuck that shit. So in that sense, I feel like I've matured in that I've had a whole life. Yeah. And I've had also many lives within that life, and it's been bloody great, you know. It's
great that you've had all these peaks, but now you're making the decision, and I think this is where a lot of the growth comes for people, is you're consciously walking them valleys, going into the places where like you're saying, refining the work.
There's no choice, it's all valleys.
Yeah, and it's like, this isn't the out on the stage in front of hundreds of people, getting all the adoration and all of that stuff. It's the work that you're putting in the shadows, and the saying is, you know, what happens in the shadow comes out in the light. And hey.
But yeah, I mean, so essentially that's what I'm doing at the moment then. But, and this is the conversation I was having with my cousin yesterday, funnily enough, last night, just before we went to bed, it's that I'm at this, okay, you look at the state of the world. So I take these, it's very, very fucking expensive medication every day, supplied by the NHS. Which I'm very grateful for. So while I have many gripes with the NHS, I've had loads of issues over the years with them, because you're a person dealing with people, and you're a person at your illest, at your worst, at your most stressed, at your most difficult time, and you're dealing with people who are, let's say, oftentimes they have fewer fucks to give about you than you do about you, you know? Yeah. And so if they're not doing things how I would want it to be done, I'd say something about it, and then I'm a problem because, you know, me wanting to stay alive.
You're not just shimmying along with the status quo.
Exactly. Like, I'm not just going to take whatever they throw my way. So no, that's not acceptable. That's going to kill me. This is this and this and this. Right, up your game. And when you know what goes on beyond the scenes, you're like, mate, it's just fuck ups left, right and centre. Like, seriously, it's just left, right and centre, just fuckery after fuckery after fuckery. And when you see it like that, and you know your life is on the line, you have to say, you have to do something.
It's life or death.
It's literally life or death. And
man.
So you'll take the argument over anything else. You'll take the disagreement, the awkward feeling over whatever bullshit might come as a result of them chopping into you, or, you know, whatever it might be that they're trying to convince you of. So, you know, to me, I can't remember where I was going with this point. But it's that, yeah, I've pushed and worked so hard just to live, just to be here. And now I'm thinking, well, where do I go from here? What can I do? I'm on this, that was it. I'm on this medication every day. Well, if the NHS collapses, if whatever reason, policy, you know, pick your fucking thing on the horizon next week, next month, next year, in the next decade, I think, what's the point of building? I'm on my home stretch, man. This is my last lap. I'm jogging it in. I'm literally limping home right now, you know. Why bother trying? Why bother this? Why bother that? Why not just curl up on the sofa with the dairy milk? Like, I you know, no one would blame me, and people would rally around me and bring me shit. Like, why don't I just do that? And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing on my list. There's nothing to. There's this. I struggle with this. I've matured. I've almost matured to the point where I'm an old retired man and I'm done. And yet I've got this time that potentially is another 40 years. Potentially I'm only halfway through. Potentially this could happen. Potentially that could happen. The only surefire way of getting none of it is if I do nothing. Yeah. So, you know, if I am to live for another 20 years, does doing nothing help that? No. If I'm only to live for another 2 years, does doing nothing help that? Well, it doesn't fucking change anything. No. So, like, well, would you want to go down swinging? Yeah, okay, I definitely would. You know,
would definitely go down swinging.
And you can even accept you're defeated, but you can still go. You can still you can tell a joke on the way down. You know, whatever it might be. Like, you can do something entertaining on the way out. You know, it doesn't just have to be like, oh no. But sometimes I feel like that prize fighter who's trying to keep fighting. And you're like, mate, you're just embarrassing yourself. Why are you still trying? You're punch drunk, you're this, you're slow, you're old, you're dosed up on painkillers all the time. Do you know what I mean? You're worth shit now. You used to be, back in your heyday, you were great. But I also don't want to be, oh, do you remember when I used to be good?
Yeah,
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's like, oh, fuck, it's so hard to know. Do I bother to try? Do I bother to work on these things? Is it ever going to pay off? Is it going to help me in the meantime? Am I? And so I've come back and around on this question, right? And the answer is, you must make the two things align. So they must be, what's the word? Congruent, I believe is the word. Your daily practice / habit and where you want to go in the future. Mm-hmm. So if in the future I want to be doing musical stuff in some way, shape or form, some form of singing, piano, drums, and if I never ever touch the piano or the drums and I never sing again, well, that's just delusional wishful thinking. Yeah. Oh, one day I want to be on stage. Okay, doing what? Doing that. When do you ever do that? Never. Oh, okay. That doesn't make sense. Whereas it's, okay, every day I play 2 hours of drums, piano, and some kind of singing, and I want to do that in the future. Great. Well, you're already doing it today.
You are being the guy that you need to be in the future. Yeah. So when that situation arrives, you can step into it and be the guy. I was talking to my friend about this, and one of his things is, when he's on, he has a crazy amount of intensity. And he did this with the gym. He lost a lot of weight, fair play to him, hats off to him. And he was working 6 to 7 days a week in the gym, going ham. And in my mind, like, he tapped into that warrior.
What does ham mean, by the way?
Huh?
What does ham mean? Going ham?
Going ham, just going all out. Going
hard as...
Ham Digglesbury, just going for it.
Oh, so it's not hard as something? I thought it was like an acronym.
It could be hard as a motherfucker. A ham could be hard as a motherfucker, and if it's not...
As we all know, motherfuckers are the hardest of them all.
Yeah, so, you know, he's going ham Digglesbury, and in the back of my mind, I know that he's just ignited that warrior. He's just tapped into and found that guy that that's been locked away from it. Right. So I didn't want to say, hey, dude, only do 3 times a week, you're going to hit burnout. So he's got this intensity. Yes, he had to find out that lesson for himself. So I knew that with the intensity, the consistency, as your intensity goes up, that consistency is the valley, the skill that he's going to have to build to balance himself out as a person.
Well then, but it's not just that. So what happens is, and this is classic, mate. It is life's beautiful irony of lessons. So you go, like, you start a thing, you go, oh, I kind of like this, kind of digging this, get into it, and you start doing it more, you start doing it harder, and you start doing it more often, right? So like basically too hard, too soon. And then what happens? The fucking wheels fall off and you get injured. Yeah. That's it. Your body goes, stop, enough. You're not building it up slowly enough. You're not doing small enough reps for long enough. It's you know, when you're a baby, you fall a lot and you bang your knees, but you're low to the ground. That's the time to fall, when you're there, and you work on all these little bits, like when you're young, build up all these skills, yada 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 yada. But we don't. We try and build up these skills that we should have built up back then. Right, you know, now. Like later. Yeah. And so people in their 40s and 50s are finding fitness for the first time and going, oh, this is great. And then just going, fucking hell for leather straight away.
And injuring themselves.
And then they're out again for months or even years. Or worse, it discourages them for ever bothering to try again because they go, well, I did that once, I got injured.
That's a huge one. Just being able to counteract your natural inclination with something to balance it.
But it's basically whenever anyone gets into anything new, I'm typical when it comes to girls. I'm like, oh, she's great, she's amazing, like it's going to solve all my problems, kind of deal. And I go full on into it. Too hard, too soon, too much, and inevitably injured.
That always happens with me. Whenever I find a new interest, I go, just everything else just falls to shit. It's like, plate spinning, what's that? Yeah, I'm on this. This is the one thing that I'm on. And as soon as I walked into F3 in November, on that rainy morning, pitch black, I was like, oh, this is the place. This is where I need to be. And I remember having a conversation with myself in my head while I was doing the beat down.
Well, is that why you were so slow?
No, I was just writ off. That's why I was slow. I was genuinely writ off. I was like, don't you fuck this up. Don't you do what you always fucking do.
What do you always do then?
I go 1,000% and burn out.
Okay.
I hit burnout. My enthusiasm for things is too much, and I've got a love. So
that's the lover,
too many things.
The lover gets excited.
I enjoy this. I enjoy that. Why can't I have this? Oh, these are all amazing. And then before you know it, I've got 50 things on.
You're like,
I'm doing all of them shit, and I just burn out, and I have to pull the towel in. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this twice a week, and I'm gonna stay consistent. Because what I would have done was I would have hit Wilberforce. I would have hit both the
Reserves,
reserves.
illumination.
I would have done illumination. I'd be doing 5 a week, and I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be here. You know, going back to that, I got a little Achilles thing, and now I'm taking a session off, like I should be at Wilberforce today, and we're here chopping it up. So, trying to find that balance of what's going on is very, very important. And I was saying to my friend as well,
some say balance is key.
and timing is everything.
Timing is everything, apparently. So long as you can breathe, I don't know. It's,
the rest is easy.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Quite easy.
But it is very much like when we look at problems, and this is why I try to bring it back to our thing.
Yeah.
Because I try and keep shit simple.
Yeah.
And you bring it back, my balance is off. That's it. You know, oh, I'm getting fat. Your balance is off. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm getting this. Your balance is off.
Yeah.
That's it. Whatever it is, your balance is off.
You gotta balance the opposites.
And that's, as I say, so for me, when I talk about playing drums and playing keys and stuff like that, I want to balance my day with the amount of, so for example, 2 hours is a set. If you think about it like that, if you're doing an hour and a break and an hour, like, various different things I've done over the years, you want to be able to do a 2 hour set. If you can't do a 2 hour set, you probably can't gig. Now, you might not end up doing a 2 hour set, you might end up doing a half an hour set, but I've done a 3 hour set before and I cramped up in that third hour because we got called back, oh, can you do it again? And my hands, my arm, no, apparently I can't. I'd sweated so much, it was like a full on work. They say a rock drummer, not that I'm a rock drummer, but this was a rock gig. Yeah. A rock drummer has the same sort of cardio and same sort of output as a Premiership footballer.
Jesus, really?
100%, mate. When you look at what's going on, if what your body is doing is, it's nuts. And so crazy. In that third hour, all my electrolytes had gone. My body had sweated out anything that I had in terms of
At that time,
salts.
were you doing the 2 hours a day?
So at the time, I was teaching like 45 hours a week. I was doing all the businessy stuff. I was building studios on top of that. So while I wasn't practicing specifically with the band 2 hours a day, we was gigging. We were practicing. I was just full on all the time.
Yeah.
But now, the way I see it is if I do 2 hours a day, or there or thereabouts. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a shade less. And I'm doing drums and I'm doing keys and I'm doing vocals and I'm singing into microphones and, whatever it is, then if I do gigs, if there's a time I do gigs, then I'm still doing exactly the same thing. It's just kind of like pick me up, spin the scene around and drop me back in it. It's the same songs at the same tempo, singing into the same mic sort of idea. And so if my future turns out that I'm gigging, doing my music, which is what I'd like to do because I actually love gig. I hate all the shit around it. I hate all the bullshit around it. I love performing because A, I enjoy the sound, I enjoy the kind of all that sort of stuff. And B, people have always enjoyed me playing. Therefore, I enjoy people enjoying me playing. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I'm going to do something you all hate and you're all going to want to hit me afterwards, probably not going to feel very good. But when you all cheer and go, yeah, that's amazing, we love that, can you show us more? I'm like, oh, well, that makes me feel pretty good, Yeah. And so you want to do more of that. So I love that sort of side of things, and it's fun for me. And when people see me play, it looks effortless. It does look fun. It's because I'm not up there and terrified. I'm actually up there having fun.
You've been walking the valleys.
It's so for me. It's not. I've just always had fun on stage. It's just a place I feel comfortable. Weirdly, it's a place that most people feel most uncomfortable.
But you're doing the reps.
Yeah. But I mean, just in terms of when I first got up on stage, it wasn't like, okay, you've practiced. Make sure it's just. I would literally just stand up and start talking in front of, like I said, when I got brought up in assembly for not fighting for a whole week and I got a round of applause, I'm the kid that gets that done, and I get brought up for good things and other things. And so it's not a problem for me to just stand up in front of a whole school of people at whatever age and just I say things, do things that I don't care. You know what I mean?
It's interesting that you talk about like taking yourself out, spinning the scenery and dropping yourself in, because that's kind of the philosophy I had with regards to my cowardice and battling that and getting into the gym. So number one, that getting into the gym was quite terrifying. Being in that masculine space just wasn't really familiar with being in those masculine environments as a mother's son. But I realised that if that scenario comes, I want to be the person that's ready. So even though I was scared of the fight, I needed to make sure that regardless of my fear, I did the thing that I didn't want to do. And so I put myself in there and I just stayed there. And so I do the beginners classes. And then once I graduated to the intermediate classes, I would turn up an hour and 10 early, and I would still do the beginners classes and then go through into the intermediate classes.
So like warm yourself up.
Yeah, not only so I could develop the skills, but so I could learn to train people. So I could get a gist for the beginners also.
One of the greatest ways to actually sharpen your own skills, by the way, is to teach others. Don't think you have to be the best to teach other people. In fact, and this is what I sort of liken it to. If you watch any kind of tribal society, the people taking care of the toddlers are usually about the 11, 12, 13-year-old girls. Right? They're and the 7, 8-year-old girls are looking up to the ones that are, sort of 10, 11, 12, and they're looking up to the 16, 17, 18. They're looking up to the girls who are sort of women, let's say by that point, who are like 30s, and they're looking up to the grandmother, So you don't get the baby looking up to the grandmother in the sense of I and you are the same thing. You get the baby looking up to the toddler going, I can see some similarity, or feel similar. The toddler looks up to the one who's a bit older, because you can feel, and they were only there like a couple of years ago. So they're still aware of the way
it's attainable, isn't it?
Whereas if you were there 90 years ago, you kind of go, look, you've got no idea of what I'm dealing with right now. So when it comes to sharpening your own skills and improving and kind of walking through a valley by choice, let's say, teach someone else.
Yeah.
Teach someone else how to do the things you've just learned.
100%. I see teaching as the final step and refinement of learning. If you can teach someone how to do a thing without reading off of sheets and, we get this and that. Obviously, if you start there, you start there. But getting to a point where you can just replicate something, it shows that you have a deep, ingrained knowledge. It's now a habit. It's now something that you don't need to go outside of yourself to get. Like, it's instilled. It's part of who you are.
It is your nature. That's the thing.
There's a saying as well, not every instructor is a black belt, and not every black belt is an instructor. Just because you've got the skills to do the thing and to throw the punches
doesn't
and
mean
the
you can actually teach others.
Doesn't mean you've got the ability to teach. It's a completely different skill set. And so for me, it was a great growing process, and that's something I've always been interested in teaching. Like, for me to have the skills, one thing, but if I can teach others to have it, then I can multiply it by infinite amount of times.
That's that generativity thing, isn't it?
Huh?
That's the generativity
thing. Yeah, for sure.
And that's so funnily enough, I was thinking about
too much of this with the sound.
Have it, man, have it. This is something I was thinking about with regards to reach as well. So why we're doing things online versus just in person. Now, I am an avid in-person person. I think I've said this before. I don't really like the whole concept of being just an online person. I have now accepted. That's the reason why I did that. I have accepted the premise that if you want to do things in person, you've kind of got to do things online first. That's just the topsy-turvy way of the world, all right? And it might change again. But this goes back to the, do I bother joining in? Do I bother trying? Do I, am I done soon? Or is it worth me sort of toiling away a little bit more? Because the way I look at it is like, mate, I've done that. I've been there, I've done it. I've done the business, I've done the thing, I've done the I'm done. Do you know? And now I just think, well, actually, no, there's this. So to get in the real world, you need to do stuff online. So you could just say, well, there's a few guys at F3 and there's a few guys at the Mindkind thing and there's a few guys who you've done and been Guildmaster for. So you've helped those guys out. Oh, I'm good. I've done more than a lot of guys. I've done this and that. But basically, you want to keep going because you feel there's still more to give, or there's still like you haven't fulfilled some goal. What is it that keeps pushing you along to reach more people, let's say?
So for me, I've always felt quite deeply connected to all people. Like, it's weird, I felt disconnected in a way, socially awkward, but I felt connected emotionally with all people, even strangers. I had a conversation with my friend yesterday, and he was in the mentality of just like, I'm just gonna lock myself away. I'm not around the right types of people at the moment. I was like, understandable. But then that type of mentality of fuck everybody comes in, and that's something that, like, for me, I can't comprehend in my mind. Like, I feel like we're all connected, and like for me to be in a position where I'm doing great and firing on all cylinders and glowing of gold and floating in the air and all of that, that doesn't really mean anything if I don't have the ability to transmit that to others. And so to take things online, like we were saying, is the ability to really reach the maximum amount of people with positive stuff, because I think it's needed.
Yeah.
I really think it's needed.
Yeah, I do. And I guess this is the thing. So in the world in which we live, you go, right, we've got all of these things, which is great. Yeah. As a result, though, we're missing these things. Yeah. And what you're trying to bring is
Balance. It's literally.
But it is
all
about doing
balance.
things in the real world. So it's like going online to reach people and drag them into the real world again.
Yeah.
Get off the fucking couch.
Yeah.
Get off your phone. Get off the computer. Get off the apps and be a real world person again. Do physical shit again.
Yeah, just because the way in which you reach the material is through technology, it doesn't mean that I'm advocating for you to sit around all day on technology. I'm hoping it's going to be a segue for you to go out into the world and do better things, or have some food for thought that you can process and slightly change the direction that you lead your life. That's the aim.
So you feel connected to people, and the idea of shutting yourself away is kind of death to you.
You know what? It's kind of weird because growing up, that was my natural inclination.
Yeah, because you said you'd shut yourself away and you'd just be away with the fairies.
For a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time, I would shut myself away, like subconsciously, whether that's physically by being a recluse due to my addiction to computer games, or just being away with the fairies as a youngster. So I think disconnection is something that's quite natural to me. It's a weird paradox.
Well, I was going to say,
actually,
because when you said about your mate wanting to basically just lock himself away in the house, and I'm like, yeah, I totally feel that.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that do, because it's just exhausting dealing with fuckwits.
It can. Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing
it
is,
really is. It is.
here's my issue, right? They might not necessarily think those things, but they think those are the things that need to be said, or they need to agree with, just so not to get in trouble. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you go, look, if you were really, I'm sure you're a cool person, but when you say these kind of stupid things, when you're just reading from a script, when I can't even talk to you like a human being,
Yeah.
it kind of makes me want to murder you right
When
now.
you get triggered about any type of topic or point,
And when
you
it's,
can't
do
separate
you know when,
yourself
like, for
from
example,
your
when
opinions.
someone's, so I've had this before, right, going back to being in hospital, being ill, when someone can't say the words, I did this thing, I'm sorry, I fucked up. They can't say it, they're not allowed to say it because then they're liable, right? So they can't be a human at that point. They're like literally, because they can't, then you go, right, so I can't have a human interaction with you right now. We're having a different kind of interaction. We have to take it from this place where we're both people, and we have to take it this fucking retarded HR type place where I have to be this certain type of person because you're being this, and then he said, and then she said.
It's a battling for like a moral high ground.
Yeah. And when you're like literally knocking on death's door, that's when you just think, I just want to fucking bite your face off.
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel about this whole shit.
Yeah.
If you come anywhere near me, I'm gonna fucking maul you.
Yeah.
Like, and it takes my brain to that place of violence and aggression, and I'll go, well, that's clearly not healthy.
Yeah.
Shut yourself away. And I just think more and more people are starting to feel like this kind of frustration of, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
This is all so ridiculous.
And this all is off of the basis of the skills aren't being taught. The fundamentals of patience, the ability to actually listen.
Disagree.
Like shut the fuck up and listen. The ability to, like you say, have a disagreement with somebody, an opinion, and not want to hate them.
Still get on.
Yeah. Like me and you, I think that this is why we have such great conversations. There's a lot of things that me and you don't agree on in certain types of ways, but that doesn't affect how I think of you. Do you know what I mean? It's the ability of like, oh, I see it this way, and you go, oh, I see it kind of this way, and then we open dialogue and we find middle grounds and we find and learn points from each other, and we move forward, leaving better people.
Oftentimes you discover actually, you go, oh, I see it this way, I see it that way, but you're actually seeing it the same way. You just have different ways of describing
it in different ways.
it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's exactly what I'm looking at. It's like, yeah, and this, it's exactly the same thing. Oh, but you said that. It's like, okay, but that's because you said that particular word. That's why I said that particular word. But if we're getting bogged down in semantics, then fucking, what does anything mean anything? They're just noises that come out of a hole in our face.
And that's it. What you often find is when you dig deep enough into what people are actually saying.
Misinterpreted, it's some sort of,
You've got so much more in common.
But it's, there's something that you were saying, and it was, I forgot to tie it back to. But go back to your mate again. So you had a conversation with your mate and he just wants to shut himself away because he's around the wrong people. So that goes back to the time plus proximity equals influence. I remember 100%. Having that thought. So, a lot of people, this was the thought I had, a lot of people want to lock themselves away, but that's not the answer.
They need to find new people.
They need to find new people.
And they need to find
new people where? Online?
You can
or
find
in the real world?
Ideally, the real world.
Why?
Ideally, the real world, because time plus proximity.
But
100%.
why also the real world?
Because you get to see the real bloody person. You don't, like, if you're connecting with people only online, they can put up a facade of being something that they're actually not at all. So there's room for lies, there's room for aliases, there's room for all these different things. When you're ground level and you meet someone face to face, there's a different type of connection first and foremost. And secondly,
so I was kind of trying to lead you to an answer,
yeah.
right? And I'm like, I want to see if
Please
he's
say
got
the answer.
No, but it's good because all the things you're saying aren't not true.
Yeah.
Okay. You said the exact thing. It's a different kind of connection, and that is basically what I was alluding to. We are physical flesh and blood creatures.
Yes.
And here's the deal, guys. We are magnetic, right? And I'm not talking some woo-woo hippie bullshit, and I'm not talking metaphorical, be magnetic, guys, attractor. No, we actually have magnetic brains and magnetic hearts,
magnetic
okay? Well, that's why we have ECGs and shit like that, and EKGs, right? They pick up all these electrical signals that happen, and so in our brains, we have these billions and billions of neurons and synapses that they're firing all the time, little electrical pulses, which are magnetic. So when you say it's a different kind of connection, it
truly
literally physically is a different kind of magnetic connection. And there is no effable way to really describe and fully get across to you how that will impact your body.
100%. Like, you can't replicate meeting a friend and giving them a big hug online.
Yeah. The facial expressions,
how
the
you
laughs,
doing?
the jokes,
Bump
like the silly
knuckles.
little things which happen in real life.
They can't happen.
They don't happen on the more like, obviously the irony of it is we're doing this online to try and reach people to get them in person, and so I realise it sounds so stupid, like put down your phones, go outside, touch grass, you know.
But listen to us.
You need the balance. Okay, it's like, look, okay, lots of stuff happens online. I get it. You can't kind of go anywhere now without being some kind of digital. You can't have a bank account without a bloody email address. All these kind of things. And someone going to be, oh, you definitely can remember me. Shut up. I don't care what you know.
The loopholers.
But the idea being that, yes, it does get very, very difficult not to be online in some way, shape or form, unless you literally just want to retreat to the woods and live in a cabin or under a bridge or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, some of life has to happen there. But don't forget that only some of life has to happen there.
Yep.
Unless you want to be so majorly inconvenienced. But don't forget that actual life, proper life, real connection, the stuff that you really crave comes from people.
And you can't cut yourself off from people. It just doesn't work. And every person that's done it for long periods of time truly cut people off. Like, a lot of time it makes them worse. Like, if you're around a bunch of people in your life that are unanimously toxic people, and you cut yourself off from them, that's understandable. You get yourself in your own little foxhole.
That's step one.
That is step one. From
that's
there,
not the end goal.
You have to reach out and find people who are like-minded. Not necessarily they're doing...
Wait, no, don't do that. I'm sorry. Because like-minded, you're sitting in your room going to fucking hate everyone. I want to murder everyone. Everyone sucks. Don't find like-minded people.
This depends on... That's a very good shout.
So I just wanted to clarify that point.
If you're feeling homicidal and suicidal, don't go out and find like-minded people. I should correct that. Thank you. Yeah. People that are aiming up. Go and find. I'm just thinking.
Find
of my
people
mindset.
like who you would like to be and like to think like. Sort of like the ideal me thinks like this, and he has these kind of friends, and these. Look for those people.
Yeah.
And you might still need to tweak your idea.
Yeah.
Because you might go, I left that. Have you ever seen the movie Bedazzled? Where Brendan Fraser asks, I don't know, the hot girl, I can't remember her name.
Liz Hurley.
Liz Hurley, that's it. It's basically like, I want this. And she's like, okay. With a little like wink in her eye, like, I'll give you exactly what you asked for. But what I'm going to sort of throw in there as well is a little trick that you didn't ask for, which, shit, okay, well, next time then I'm going to make sure I ask for that and that. Okay, I'll give you that and that. But
got you an extra thing,
all the things you didn't see, all the things you didn't think, I'm going to put those in there.
They're going to creep
and so,
under the carpet.
Like your original run into the first wall, get knocked down, don't get back up again, you might need to try a few times to find the right bunch of friends. That's where I was going with that kind of element.
Yeah, you have to
be
put yourself out there.
On that first one.
Yeah, and you've got to go out and meet people who on the surface you would never hang around with. Because what you realise is what people present on the surface, actually we're much more complex creatures than we give ourselves credit for. We see, oh, that person's wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt and has baggy jeans on and wears this, you know, a silver chain. They're a rocker. It's like you could get 50 rockers in a room, get to know them, and have 50 completely different people. And that's what people don't understand.
I look way different to how I actually am a lot of the time, I feel. And people are often surprised when they get to know me more. Oh, you come across as, we know, you kind of look.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
Yeah. That's definitely what I got when I was younger, because I dressed like the chavs, the roadmen of today, but old school style, I guess, chavs. And when people speak to me, they go, oh, I've just assumed that you were this person, but you're actually not. You're this person. And so it's really, really important to, when you go out, go and find a variety, because if you go for the people that you feel like you identify with, chances are you're just going out into the world and finding the exact people that you just tried to leave. You'll just find another group of those guys or girls and just do the exact same thing.
It's almost, in a way, if you were coming from a place where all you did was drink and take drugs and hang around with those kind of people doing degenerative behaviours, that's probably not a good sentence.
That's a bang on, degenerative things.
But if you're then thinking, well, I need to find people like me, but the like me needs, you might not actually do any of the habits yet. You might not do the things. You might not have the practices, and you might not even know how to go about it. So when, it's kind of like-minded or like me, it's more about what I would like to be.
Yeah.
Where I would like to, the kinds of places I'd like to hang out, the kinds of people. And oftentimes the people then you'll have to interact with are going to be difficult because they're different types of people. You're not going to know necessarily how to interact with them.
Yeah, it's like a giant mission. It really is like an adventure, like a mission. Like you've got to go out and you've got to wage war on the current you that wants to sit in the house and detach from
So that's what you did when you went to the fighting gym for the first time.
Oh, man.
You're uncomfortable there, but you made yourself go back. So actually, weirdly, you say you run into the first wall and don't get back up, but you still did make yourself do it.
Yeah, to be fair. I feel like
and you might not have done it a lot, but you did make yourself do it at least that one time.
Yeah, and
to
go back
when
as
I
well.
when I say one time, I mean the one time you said, I'm going to stick at this.
Yes.
Versus each time you go and then it's a new time. It's like, no. You go and you go, this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I'm going to overcome this cowardice. Because cowardice, by the way, a lot of people think cowardly... a lot of people think being a coward is feeling fear, and that's absolutely untrue if that's what you previously thought. The fear element, you can feel it. Everyone feels it. I feel it. The difference of me not being a coward is I would still do the thing, and that's what you were talking about.
Do the thing in spite of fear.
Do the thing in spite of the fear.
Courage.
Yeah, and that's it. And so people go, oh, you just don't feel fear. Bullshit. You don't feel pain. Bullshit. You don't feel bullshit. The difference is I take action in spite of.
Yeah.
That's it. That is literally it. That's the difference.
100%. And when you see people who blindly go into things because they don't feel fear, they're not courageous people. They just don't feel fear. Do you know what I mean? And those
They also do feel dead pretty soon as well.
They usually get themselves into terrible situations.
If you don't have that kind of survival instinct, I know a lad, lovely lad in many, many ways, but again, he actually took too many drugs too young, so stay off drugs, kids.
Hey, he peaked.
And actually, you know what? Stay off drugs, kids, is a really good piece of advice. If you're growing up, your brain, your body, and all these things are developing, don't experiment with shit like that.
Don't put extra chemicals in there.
Wait until you're 80 and 90 and take all the drugs you want, mate. They'll give them to you at that point.
Because if the tyre blows off, it's not too much of a problem.
Exactly. You're already sat down.
You don't want to flatty at 14.
When you're younger, he took too many drugs and he scrambled his brain. And so he was very sweet and very well-meaning in many ways. And mate, he just had zero awareness of the world and constantly was just getting the shit kicked out of him. Constantly, because he didn't know what he was saying, to who and where. Yeah. He had zero awareness of all of this kind of stuff, and he was always getting beaten up, and then he's shocked by it all the time. And I'm like, he's so unaware.
He wasn't a coward, but at the same time, he wasn't courageous.
No, exactly. Yeah. It wasn't like, I know this is a dangerous situation, but I have a job to do and I need to do a thing. Yes. He's just walking around, basically oblivious to fucking everything, mate.
That's crazy.
Like a pinball, just getting battered, banged, and left, right, and centre.
No way.
So that's the thing. Having no fear in that way isn't a good thing. Yeah. Feeling the fear is a healthy dose of fear, but still deciding. Yeah. No, this thing is right for me, or at least I believe I'm going to try it to see. And oftentimes you try things once, and it might not be what you thought because you've got all this anxiety and all these things. So this is why the whole, dating side of things is a mess at the moment. It's like, do at least 2 dates. Do at least 2, because the first one's going to be weird and awkward and bumpy and meh. And actually the second one, once you've done the first meet and greet, because again, years ago, how the fuck how could you match with someone you'd never met? The only way you can meet someone is you fucking meet them. The only way you could talk to them is you actually have to talk to them.
Yeah,
the only way to connect in some way, shape or form is physically you had to be, within touching distance. So now it's going against all our natural inclinations and biology. We're meeting for this romantic interaction when we've never fucking met this human before and expecting this amazing shit to happen.
Or you're having the illusion of knowing someone because you're messaging them back and forth. And
bullshit.
In today's day and age, ChatGPT could be writing half of their replies.
Mate, and
Like, you really don't know.
Yeah, no idea. Yeah. And so that's the way I look at that is sometimes, for example, going back to drum lessons, just because I say my cousin's here at the moment, you teach drums and some teachers go, right, you comfortable? Like they'd ask the student, are you comfortable? And I'm training the teacher going, how do they know? How do they know if they're comfortable? Everything about this is new to them.
It's new.
Everything is new and they don't know how they're supposed to feel. You're supposed to look and go, everything is correct. However that feels to you, you don't say however that feels to you right now is however it feels. But basically, it doesn't matter if they feel like this or feel like that in a sense of you go, no, the feet are in the right place, the hands are in the right places. Yeah. Let's try and do the right things. And then if this, then that. But don't, if you go, right, you're comfortable with it. No, because they're nervous, they're this, they're that, they're the rest of it. You have to set the tone in the room. Yeah. And then they kind of realise what comfort feels like in that setting.
You lead with a bit of conviction. Make sure you're aware of where the person you're teaching is. I think the place of transformation, where transformation happens, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable, and it should never be comfortable, because if you're comfortable, then you're not progressing, you're not moving forward, and you're not learning anything. Not to say that it can't be enjoyable.
No, it can be enjoyable.
But like those places where you're going into a place of liminality, where like things are changing and you are changing as a person, comfort should definitely not be at the top of the list.
Well,
because regardless of how
in some way there's new information there.
Yeah, regardless of if you make the environment comfortable inside psychologically, the fact that you're going from point A to point B,
you're having to process new shit, and in that process, you're breaking connections and making connections, and it's exactly the same with breaking down muscles and rebuilding muscles.
Definitely,
it's these kind of, you go, oh, I thought that, but okay, clearly that isn't that. Yeah. So now I have to break that thing and make that thing. Whoa, that was uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And the better you get at that, it doesn't necessarily make it any less comfortable. You're just better at it. Yeah. It's kind of like you've oiled the surface, and it's there's less resistance to that same break. I still feel the break, just like every other break, but I know what's coming. I know I can handle it. I know how this process works. Yeah. So I'm just going to rinse and repeat. But each break is no less painful.
Yeah, and this is what I think a lot of schools probably struggling at the moment, because they're not willing to make the children
in any way uncomfortable.
Of what the parents are going to say. And this is how a lot of parents ruin their kids. What they end up doing is they protect their kids from any type of discomfort and any challenge of the world or interaction with other humans.
How dare you make my child feel?
That could make them feel uncomfortable in certain types of way, but actually inside that discomfort often has these nuggets of knowledge or wisdom or teaching points that they can take forward that get distilled over time. Like, you might not understand why that guy was saying that thing to you when you were 7 years old, but once you hit 14 and you've went over it in your head a few times, you go, oh shit, the old guy from the post office was fucking right. Like, when I was robbing stuff, like on that day, I was fucking hungry, man. Like, I was really hungry, and so I stole something from the post office, and he didn't get onto me and go, hey, you, stop there. He waited till I got outside the post office, and he waited for me, and he pulled me over gently, and he said, hey, you got to be careful doing that. He said, today it's sweets, but tomorrow it's going to be cars. And then he walked off. And at the time I was like, what the fuck's he on about? I'm fucking hungry, let me get this chocolate in. As that, like, those experiences, if you block people from those experiences, it really can change people's lives for the negative. I went off and I thought about that, and I was like, I'm never going to steal again. I really was. I was like, I don't want to be a car thief. I don't want to be a car thief. There's a lot of criminals around me in my area and whatnot. I've seen elders go to jail. My dad's in and out of prison. I didn't see him. And he was, in jail for a lot of his life. You know what I mean? So like in my head, that small tiny comment without it being forced down my throat.
But what you didn't see was the link between that and that. He didn't see, you just thought it was a chocolate bar because you're hungry.
Yeah.
And he saw, no, chocolate bar because you're hungry equals that, because the same justification.
Yes.
Is, well, I need the car. I need the car because I need to do this to do that.
I need the car.
It's the same, it's the same.
Yeah.
You know?
So he was like a little magician.
He's sort of further down the road than you because he's older, more experienced, and he knows.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just dropping that little bomb. You know, just kind of,
yeah.
There you go.
And he did it with fucking class as well, man. It's like a little scene looking back, it's like a little scene out of a movie. He didn't scream, he didn't shout. Yeah. He understood where I was.
Yeah, and what was going on. Because he's probably been that kid.
Yeah, and he knew the exact way in which to put it to me to affect me. Now, he didn't get to see the results of that. If I'd seen him, I would never know who he was.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But his message stayed with me, and we got to be able to put young people in situations where they're not necessarily super comfortable. Because I felt a little awkward, that guy approaching me and talking to me. It was only a 5-8 second interaction, but that slightly changed the way I lead my life. We need to have more of those conversations, and it all starts with being willing to put yourself in them positions of discomfort, man.
Well, it's not just that. It starts with people allowing
to strangers.
other... You didn't, he spoke to you.
Yeah.
But it's the, when I look at it like that, the world is kind of like, we have this thing in F3, iron sharpens iron. The world is what we all need, in the sense that the message isn't always going to come from some lovely place. The person who delivers you some form of lesson that you need to learn might themselves be like a bad, evil person, but they can teach you a real good fucking lesson.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, damn, okay, that guy did me a favour. Oh, that girl doing that to me made me realise this. Now, you can get all bitter and twisted, and you can be, fuck the world, everyone's evil, going outside of the house, it means pain, it means this, it like X equals Y.
Yeah.
You can make all of these assumptions, all these connections, but causation and whatever it is, I can't remember what it is, but the idea that, okay, these bad, negative people, this horrible shit, blah, 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 can actually benefit you. You go, oh, that's just shit, that's manure, that just come out of the horse's ass. Yeah, and it's going to grow your food way better than it would have done.
It's going to grow your magic
all of
mushrooms,
the negatives
mate. You be grateful.
Can be turned into a positive. You can take all the darkness and turn it into light. It's just, you've got to be aware and conscious about it. So you can go, oh, I've had this horrendous past, I've had all these things. Okay, great. That's made you resilient. It's made you this, it's made you the rest of it.
There's two ways you can go about it.
Two ways you can look at the same thing.
For me, I learned more through cautionary tales rather than example. Because that was what was around me in my environment. Usually it was people...
Lot of cautionary tales.
Yes, okay. Yeah, but people falling short of maybe where they... I don't want to say where they should have been, because everyone's broken and imperfect in their own different ways.
Should is a great word.
But seeing ways and then putting myself in their shoes and going, would I... Like, that didn't feel good to me. What you did there wasn't good. So... When I'm in that position, I'm going to make sure I do it differently, and then I'll articulate to myself inside my own head, like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. And so that's a great way to look at it, because you can very easily veer off into poor me.
I've definitely been there as well. I've definitely been the poor me kind of, not necessarily why me, but definitely poor me, but still being aware of it's still not other people's problem.
Yeah.
Or other people's fault. It just is, which again, kind of gives rise to the, why would I bother keep trying, it's better to just sort of fade away and, I just can't be bothered. But at the same time, nature is what nature is. So the argument of maturing too soon, well, clearly you're the kind of, the argument, going back to that original question, maturing too soon, clearly you're the kind of person who already was mature in some kind of way, like going back to the child actor, they were already mature in some kind of way to get the job. They were already way more switched on and aware, smarter, whatever it might be, than their peers. That's how they learned. So they had already matured. So you could argue, again, with like the girl who goes through puberty early, or not necessarily early, but just kind of, wow, from 11 to 14, they're a whole different human, and that looks like a woman. Unless you knew how old they were, you wouldn't be able to tell. That's genetic.
Most definitely.
I mean, it's there. I'm sure that there will be some mums, but there's going to be very few mums and dads out there encouraging their daughters to dress older and look more before they are.
Yeah,
Do you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you've got a
very
14-year-old girl?
14-year-old.
I can't imagine you being that up for her, you know, putting all the push-up
Getting
bras
your
on
belly
and all
top out,
like,
no.
yeah, look as old as you can. Try and
No.
look 24, get into the club, you know. I can't imagine you encouraging.
chance.
And the reason why I said there are some mums, there are some mums who would do that, but I can't imagine there's any fathers who would encourage their daughters to
Because
do
they
that.
know. Because they know.
Exactly. This is it. This is it. They
know.
fucking know. They're not naive.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I do think genetics for sure has a role to play. Yeah. But if you then, for example, like you said, you naturally pick things up, as do I. I think then you need to raise your level of awareness, and like you say, to sort of intentionally walk the valleys, if you want to call them that. You have to do what is a young calls it the shadow work.
Yeah.
100%. You know, you go, okay, well, I'm great in this area. Okay, great. But if you just sort of like rest on your laurels in that way and you just think, well, I'm great here, so I don't need to do X, Y, and Z. You know, the super handsome guy that's just tall and handsome doesn't need to have any kind of game, doesn't need to treat women nicely, doesn't need to do shit, because literally women are coming up to him all day, throwing themselves at him, just going, please take my pussy.
That's a common thing as well. Like
100%.
super attractive people lack
They
personality.
don't have to, they don't have to develop any other part.
They don't need any. In those areas, they don't need any. And now when you do the spin the scenario to a different scenario and you drop them in, where how attractive you look doesn't matter in the gym. It doesn't. When you get on the mats, how beautiful your face is doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna put in the work.
So your jab sucks, your guard's down.
Yeah.
You're gassing out after 30 seconds. This is the stuff that now matters, and so it's really hard for people to adjust to different situations and not scenarios, but environments when they're used to being adored for certain things that they didn't work for.
Yeah,
they end up staying in those environments.
Yeah.
So if you shine in, if you're a pretty girl and you shine in the club, then the chances of you going out and going to a place where you have to have deep, meaningful conversations with people, you're probably going to avoid it because that's your valley. Your valley is that you might not have the ability to communicate.
Sort of thing.
Yeah,
and we're not saying, by the way, every hot person is like that. Just for anyone tries that.
No stereotyping.
This is majority rules. It's always majority rules, right? And it is. It's that, you know, if you're super this, you like. How many times have you seen the super smart person think everything is about the brain? Nothing's about the body.
They talk about.
They never take care of their body. They never do any push-ups. They never do any run. They never do any shit like that, because they think, well, my brain does all these things, and I can earn money. I can do this, and this, and then this is where I wanted to go with it. It doesn't matter how hot you are, how smart you are. This and this. Nature, if it wants to fuck it, you can get cancer. You can get in a car accident. All of these things, like being kind of humbled by life in some way, shape, or form. Nobody is above that.
No one can
I don't
escape
care
it.
how good your genetics are. I don't care how rich you are. If you are a human being alive on this earth, and by virtue, well, I don't know, AIs watch things. But the idea being that there is no escaping the laws of physics, the laws of nature.
Yeah.
As much as you might not want them to be true, they just are.
The smart guy, what you're talking about, is another great example of the inflated magician, you know, and that is because of all the things I know. I can, you know, if I just have one conversation with you, I can heal you. You know, if I'm a good enough, the inflation of a magician is, if I'm a good enough magician, then I don't have to be a warrior. If I know all this stuff, then I don't have to do anything. I don't have to train myself to defend myself, because I'm smart enough to talk myself and diffuse any situation.
Or see it before it even happens.
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't even be in there in the first place.
I'm so smart, I can just teleport myself away. It's no problem. And that is a big trick. If you think that you can live out your life through one of these quarters of
without
the psyche,
ever needing to go elsewhere. Yeah.
It's a trick that archetype is playing with you. And the chances are it's got a hold of you already, and it's using you as a host. Most definitely.
So let's just, because now we talked about the archetypes. So let's say, what was this, episode 5 now we're on?
5, yeah.
Ooh, go us. So we got the king.
Yep.
What's the king responsible for?
The king is responsible for order, just order, blessing, and vision. Those are the three.
Okay. When you say blessing, what do you mean by that?
Blessing is.
Because when we're talking about it, what I struggle with, right, and I think a lot of people do, because I don't see, when you talk about things like the Turtles or Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all these kind of things, the mythological side and how it actually really just so relates to real life. If you can see that translation, if you like.
100%.
And I'm like, I totally missed that. I'm just watching a movie kind of deal. I'm thinking they're shit at acting, they're hot, they're this and that, and that CGI was crap. I see a different movie to me. So when you translate it all and you say blessings, what does that mean to the human on a day-to-day thing? If the king's
blessing is the ability to make another person feel seen.
Okay, so kind of compliments and things like that.
Yes, so a compliment.
And if you're not secure in yours, because this is why I wonder. I think, okay, well, it's all well and good saying the king this and the king. I'm like, okay, so I think I'm very good at giving compliments because I'm secure enough in myself. Me giving someone else a compliment doesn't detract from me being good at that thing.
No.
And me saying that someone else is great at something else doesn't mean that I'm automatically putting someone else down either. Yeah. So I feel like I can give compliments and I'm perfectly happy to do so, and it's not weird or in any way kind of going to make the situation awkward. Therefore, I'm good at giving compliments. But not many people do as a guy, and certainly guys very, very, very rarely get compliments.
Yeah, they don't celebrate the accomplishments and the virtues of other people.
So you have to kind of that king is
it's a form of admiration.
I'm confident on my throne that no one's going to take it away from me if I say something else was good, kind of a deal.
Yeah, for me, the ability for a man to openly compliment other men is a great indicator of his balance and his security in himself.
Okay.
If you're insecure and you're in a famine mindset of there's only so many blessings to go around, there's only one guy that can rule the roost. I'm in a room of 10 guys, and so if that guy is the guy that receives the most compliments, then I mean shit.
Right. So it's a status hierarchy thing.
100%.
Really? Oh, okay.
It really does
so
go
it's
down
almost
like
like
that.
I need to hold on to this compliment because if I give it to that guy and everyone gives it to that guy, then that's the guy.
Me giving a compliment means I'm giving away my crown, and it doesn't mean that.
Okay. Whereas if I keep mine and then other people might throw theirs my way, then I've got all the compliments.
Yeah. If your crown is real and you're solid in your king energy, people can't take away your self-esteem because you're confident and certain in who you are as a person. So a comment from another person, even if it's a critical comment, it doesn't rock you the way that it will rock most other people. It's just going to be like, well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. Okay. And the way in which blessings should come from a man, they should kind of pour out. You shouldn't be like, oh, I've got to give you this and now I'm fuck all because I'm giving you this. It's like, this is where I'm at. My cup is overflowing and I'm making sure I'm giving the people blessings based on the beautiful things that I see inside of them. Do you know what I mean? Okay. That's, for me, that is the blessing of the king. And you can't do that. And you can't do that if you don't feel secure in yourself. If you feel insecure in yourself, you're going to be holding on for dear life. And if you're too inflated, your job is going to be to assert yourself as the guy.
Right.
The center.
So everyone else is shit compared to you.
Yeah.
Sort of
I'm the king in the presence of a bunch of slaves. What the fuck am I going to compliment you for? You should bow. You should drop to your knees.
Almost like subhuman because
you should drop to your knees and you should
that
be
grandiosity kind of.
Why should I be praising you and giving you blessings? Your job is to bless me. You know, and so you can see this dynamic, especially if you're in a group of men or a group of women. You can see as the group size kind of goes from 1 to 1 to like you could go from 2 to 3. You could go 2 to 5 and you'll see a dynamic. So you'll know that if everyone's on a level playing field and everyone's chilling, you know you're in the presence with guys who are more in balance. As soon as you start seeing the little dagger attacks and the jibbing and the one-upping and
the dick swinging and everyone's
we call it banter. We call it banter, but man, what's going on under the surface is, man, there's a lot of battle in there, man. There's a lot of dagger attacks and people trying to cleave each other's heads off, like in front of each other, trying to make other people the butt of their jokes. It's like...
It reminds me of this Family Guy bit. There's 2 women at lunch, and they're complimenting each other. You know, like, it's amazing how you have the courage to eat that dessert and the whole thing. You know, I wouldn't have the room in my stomach to put it. Oh, and you know, I love how the scarf detracts from your new haircut. You know, that kind of thing. It's such a good choice of scarf. I mean, if I just got my haircut like that, I wouldn't have chosen such a great scarf to take the eye away. That sort of thing. And then it's like the dude goes, "Hey man, like your tie, men. We know how to be friends." Because it really, hey man, I like your tie. And that guy does like his tie.
I actually like your tie.
And he's like, do you want to wear? Mate, I'd love, cheers man.
Yeah.
It's a cool tie. And that is, and there's no, but
I think it's definitely easier for groups of men to be generative than groups of ladies.
yeah, however,
struggle with it
we say, and we was
lot
talking
more.
about this last week, and that, you know, there are guys that will, you know, watch from the sidelines. I'm pretty sure they're the same guys who in the club would stand with a drink in their hand just watching the people on the dance floor. Same guys. They are wanting to join in. They're kind of, in their minds they're there, but they're not actually there doing the thing. And so I think for guys, if you've never really learnt from a primary school age how to make friends, friends have just made you. As in, you know, you're picking teams and you're just one of the boys. You know, and so you're never really a part of the conversation, you're just part of the scenery, let's say. And so you just get dragged along by the current.
Yeah.
And if we're playing football today, then I guess we're playing football today. If we're doing this, we're doing that. And it doesn't really matter. I just kind of get told what to do, where to go, and the part to play. And I do it, and I try not to piss anyone off because I don't want to get punched in the face. Basically, you know, I don't want to be humiliated. I don't want to be pushed over. I don't want to get egg on my face. Whatever it might be, I just keep the limelight off of me.
Yeah.
You know, keep anything negative off of me. I'll just kind of keep my head down and do what I'm told. That's kind of an idea.
When you're describing that person, I feel like that was me.
Yeah.
In senior school, most definitely. I think maybe because of my stature, maybe I'm mixed race or whatnot.
Maybe you're mixed race, but you're not sure.
Well, I'm definitely mixed
Because
race.
I'm not. I'm just happy.
But like the popular kids kind of, it felt like they gave me a pass. And I
Right.
don't know if that was because I fit the image of what the popular kids maybe looked like, or I don't know what it was, but it felt like I was given a pass. But ultimately, I was just flying under the radar. I was just trying.
Don't do anything.
I was trying not to be seen, man. I was just chilling. I think I was a decent person, so people would be okay around me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I was never out there. You know what I mean? Just boom, here I am, kind of thing. It's just weird when you was talking about that. Like I was like,
But that
was
is
me.
most guys. I think that is most guys.
Yeah.
And so then as an adult, if you've never developed the skills, I say let's just say half. It's a half of guys. Right?
Yeah.
So if you've never developed those skills, then as an adult, and you want to take yourself into one of these new rooms, let's say, and you want to go
psychological
into,
rooms or
Yeah. So as in like the idea that okay, now I wasn't a warrior, so I've been a magician. I've been on the sidelines. I've been watching and sort of mentally putting myself in there, and now I actually want to do the fucking thing.
Yeah.
As an adult, I think when it comes to men are more intimidated. But whereas women, you can be a new woman, and while you know how it is under the surface, women are just more polite and hi on the, you know.
Yeah.
Men can be more like, the fuck do you want?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a physical threat, scary, versus you know,
slag
people
off
are
when
going to
you
slag
go.
me. Yeah, exactly that. So it's a different threat. It's a different thing.
Yeah,
I think women can feel much more physically safe around one another.
Yeah.
But men like, for example, women go, oh yeah, but what when it comes to women bitching about rights and women get attacked by men. Way more men get attacked by men than women get attacked by men. Way more. It's so unbelievably disproportionate. Way more men get shagged by men in the you know, when they don't want to. Because if you think about prison culture, it's like
wow, military as well. It's
like you
rife in
think
military,
about it, it's like,
yeah.
well,
That's crazy
you know,
when you say it like that.
women are the only ones at threat. No. Like all other men are basically at threat from another man as well.
bad
You
men,
know,
yeah.
and you could be a really tough, well-capable dude, and you only need 2 or 3 other people. You know, and they're like 80% of what you can do, but you just get overwhelmed by the numbers.
Yeah.
So again, it's people think, oh, women are in this kind of state, and men are this. But it is, yeah, men are aggressive and they're scary, but they're also scary for other men.
Yeah,
that's what women forget.
100%.
I think.
And it's overwhelming as well.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. Like I remember that feeling of just being out in the world and just being like feeling unsafe.
And well, especially
Just
if you've
literally just
been
feeling
bullied as a
unsafe.
kid in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form, that shit will stick with you.
I had a small stint in like year 9 or 10 with a little bit of bullying, and it's weird how it affects you. It really does. You're going in, you've got that dread, and all you really want to do is just kind of do a 180 and leave school. You don't want to hang around and potentially cross paths with those people because you just don't know what they're going to do. And if you don't have that energy in you that says, "Hey, this, you could end up in pain. You could fight. We could die here." But in spite of that,
We're gonna do it anyway.
we're gonna fucking do it. Get on the battlefield. If you don't have that energy inside you, oh man, it's just terrible. It's terrible. And a word on that as well of not being able to tap into that energy. One thing that I've found with men that struggle to locate an energy, like the warrior energy, they're full of cowardice and whatnot.
We're going to go back to this in a sec, but yeah.
Yeah. The main thing is, it's not even that they're trying to find it, but they can't. They don't believe that room exists inside their psyche. They don't even believe. They go, he's got a warrior in him. He's got a warrior in him. Yeah. But that room in my house doesn't exist. I don't have that room in my house. You guys have got garages. I don't have a garage at my house.
Yeah.
And for me, the lack of realization that every single human, man and woman, has these rooms. I think that's a very important thing. And you need to kind of go into your psychological house and start to create that room. It doesn't need to be filled with warrior furniture and swords on the walls.
You just need to know the door exists and
you
you can open it.
You need to understand that there's a door in your house that takes you to the warrior room. You just haven't found it yet. And for me, that's a massive thing when I'm talking to men and I'm trying to explain to them the concepts. Their first thing is,
I don't have that.
I'm different. That's not
so
me.
Going back to this, so we got the king, right? And I asked the question about that.
Sorry.
And then, phew, that was like 15 minutes ago. So no, it's cool. So this is the thing. So it was basically about giving blessings, and that's where so the king is responsible for vision, i.e., the vision of the kingdom. This is how I want things to be. I want to set my house up like this, my future like this. I want to go to these places, hang around with these kind of people. That's the king, right? Yeah. And the king obviously can't be too ego-driven, otherwise it's a tyrannical king. 100%. And it wants to be sort of the king that can give, like you say, give blessings.
Yes.
The king is responsible for not enforcing the order, though.
No.
The order is given to the warriors.
To the warriors.
And the warriors are the ones that do shit. That is basically it. They get stuff done.
They get stuff done. They're
whether that's actual physical fighting,
yep.
or whether that's in the boardroom fighting, whether it's washing up,
yeah,
whether it's mowing the lawn, whatever it might be, the warrior is the action taker.
100%.
Cool. The magician is the one who is aware of the world.
Yes.
Yeah, aware of the world outside and the world inside. That's the magician's
The
job.
world inside as well. That's very important. Yeah, both out and inside.
The lover is the one who is responsible for connection with others and everything and that sort of thing. Cool. Okay, I'm getting it.
Oh man, so I'm just listening to fun like, hey man.
Sort of like, just for anyone who doesn't know the four quadrants, four quarters, whatever they're called.
Yep.
The framework is the Carl Jung framework.
Yeah.
Of the magician, warrior, lover, king. What's the book called?
Yeah, it's underneath Carl Jung. It's Dr. Robert Moore's work.
Oh, that's
and
it.
King, warrior, magician, lover. Yeah, fantastic book, fantastic philosophy. And psychoanalytic theory, I guess that's what it falls.
And so we're working on translating it essentially to modern day life.
Yes.
All in its iterations.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to see it in one area, and it's easy to then go, fuck, it's the same thing. It was over there instead. So, for example, one of the things on drums, I often bring things back to drums. I think a lot of music can be symbolic for life, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things you'd be playing what's called a hi-hat. It's the symbol over here, right? And I go, cool, right, so all we're going to do is exactly the same thing, but we're going to go over there now. And the very physical act of moving their arm over there, all of a sudden it's changed. So I'd say, no, right, hit the hi-hat. So start hitting the hi-hat. And then I put my hand underneath the stick. I'm going to say, right, now, I'm basically moving it. I'm like, now just keep hitting my hand.
Yeah.
And then I would drop it, kind of like flipping the scene around,
wicked.
picking it up, flip the scene around, drop them in.
Yeah.
And so then they realise, but
It's
moving from one place to another place, you think it's a different thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
That's the great thing about the framework. Yeah.
When you look at it through these lenses,
yeah,
it's easy to go, that bit, that's the king.
Yeah.
And then on another bit, you go, I didn't realise that was still
the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the king in me, I thought, because of this, like for example, I thought because I can give compliments, then my king's really well mature and I'm amazing. But I didn't realise that bit was also the king and, man, I suck at that.
Yeah.
So actually, while my king is mature in some ways, like potentially matured early in some ways, it made me blind to the fact that potentially then he's really immature in other ways. And I guess that's what I'm finding out now as well. In what ways am I immature and under-matured?
100%. Like the ability to locate these corners of the psyche in something outside of yourself is a great way to start observing and seeing the trajectory and the paths that they take, especially in popular stories. Myths are ancient stories, essentially. Do you know what I mean? They're tribal stories. And so movies are a great proxy for the myth, because they're all stories.
Yeah.
And the most popular ones are the ones that speak to the myth. So we don't really have folklore and ancient and myths that we tell to our kids and pass on. But that was done for thousands of years.
We kind of given that all over to Hollywood to do.
Yeah, yeah. So when we're talking about the king, what we may not realise is that, you know, if I give a couple of examples, Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings, he's the king. You might understand it because the third movie, it says Return of the King, but his whole journey is being a ranger in the forest, lost, away from his birthright, separated from his parents, and finding his pathway back to kingship. You can connect that to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Simba leaving, going into the jungle, into the chaos. Where is he? He's out with the lovers. He's with a meerkat, and he's with a warthog. These are people that you should eat, but he finds deep connection with them, and that's where he learns to become a generative king of understanding all the understandings with the animals, and then he finds his way full circle back to the cosmos to take his throne, to take his birthright, and these things are similar in many stories that we'd never understand. Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles, he's the king of the four quarters. But
he's the blue one with the swords.
Oh, he's the blue one with the swords, and he's given the swords by Master Splinter because he needs to be more decisive. He's insecure in himself. He's self-doubting. He has a lot of responsibility. So he has that sense of being lost and not having that king energy to have the conviction to go, right, this is the plan, guys, let's go. He's given the keys by Master Splinter to the king, but he doesn't know how to do it, and that's why often Leo will be a little bit unsure in himself, and Raph will jump the gun. Raph's the warrior. Yeah. He'll jump the gun.
The one with a spiky, forky.
It's time to do. It's time to get after it. And Leo's progression is him finding that ability to wear his crown psychologically and lead people. So it's amazing that once you understand the framework and you understand how stories work and why they're there, like, it all adds up. Like, there's a reason why the Turtles are on their 6th iteration of the series, and everyone seems to...
I was going to say, because a lot of these stories just get iterated with slightly different details.
1,000%.
You know, it's like, oh, this time it got told and the guy is this old and he looks like this, and and then this time it got told and the guy is living over here and he looks a little bit like this and he's a little bit younger. He's like, yeah. Years ago I watched this series, and what is it? Oh, they're from China, and they go over to the US, and basically this guy totally rips off a franchise.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I assumed it was a cattle ranch or whatever it was. Like, you've even got the bear. He said, no, they have got a brown bear. We've got a black bear.
It's completely different.
In his mind, it's completely different because the colour of the bear is different. He's like, but everything else is the fucking... No, it's totally different restaurant, mate. Totally different restaurant. Yeah. They've got that colour. We've got this colour.
You see these archetypes play out everywhere, man. Even in movies that sometimes don't seem to make sense on the surface, they still have chunks of these.
You go, oh, it's that. They're telling that again.
So like the Barbie movie, I was a little bit apprehensive about watching the Barbie movie, and afterwards I was like, what is this?
It's too much pink for me.
What is this feminist fever dream going on here? I was like, what is going on?
Did you watch it with your daughter, or did you watch it because you wanted to watch it?
I watched it with my partner and my daughter.
Okay.
And I guess they liked it because it was pink and it was fluffy and this and that, but like underneath the framework was,
and isn't it
was
all
not
like
working
girl
for me.
power as well?
Yeah.
So why the fuck wouldn't they like it?
All the dustbin men were women.
Yeah.
All the and the men were just dumb and useless or tyrannical. So the men were out on the beach playing football, being bros. Oh yeah, bro. And when they went to the real world, all of the men were these high-end corporate heartless wankers.
6'5", blue eyes, finance.
But even in a movie like that, where it's not really, doesn't feel accurate, you still got, what's her name?
Margot Robbie.
Nah, is it old Barbie, Mad Barbie? There's a.
So all the
Barbies are like the same. They're all prettied up and dolled up. Well, the shit hits the fan, and they don't know what to do. So where do they go? They go up to the top of the city, and in there's a Barbie in the house. There's an old Barbie. And she's the Barbie that's been ragdolled. She's got her hair cut off. She's got makeup smudged everywhere. She's the Barbie that's been through it. She's the Barbie with the wisdom. So what they did was they went up into the cave to go and see the Oracle who has the answers. That's the magician archetype. So even in a movie that, like the Barbie, where everything's just kind of crazy, it's still got those essences of motifs of like, that's the wise elder that you go to for the information. That's the shaman. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, even in those Yeah, I
So
find it
here's
fascinating.
a question for you then. This is actually quite a good question, I think. So do you believe that older women, generally speaking, give younger women good sound advice?
No,
Elaborate on that.
no.
Because when you
Wait,
said
ooh.
when you said they go up to the woman, like the older woman,
I'm gonna.
I mean, I've spoken to some older women, and I'm not sure they've got the best advice.
I think it's very hard. It depends on the woman because some women are absolutely amazing.
Some
Some
generative, thought about the bigger picture
Amazing.
from both sides of the fence. That's the
Yeah, and the main thing is they genuinely care for the progression and development of a balanced young woman.
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
they
I was going to say
genuinely
the human
care.
race as a whole versus
Yeah. What
men
I
versus
see in a
women.
lot of women, and even women with their own daughters,
Yeah.
is they didn't get where they wanted to get. Maybe they weren't in the relationship and didn't get the husband they wanted to get. They feel a bit bitter about where they are, their position in life, and all the things they could done. A lot of women they peak earlier because how men rate them, which is one of the top is physical attraction. It just is how we're
Just
built. It's just
Whether
human nature.
or not you want it to be the case
human nature,
has
man.
no standing on whether or not it is the fucking case.
It's just human nature. And so if a lady has all of that power for her physical beauty and she doesn't utilize it properly, her time window, once she goes past that and she realizes she's not able to get back to the younger years, what will happen is she'll be envy and resentful of the younger ladies
girl
who
who
have
has
that.
what- yeah,
And what they will do is they will veer them off down the wrong track to purposefully sabotage their chances.
Misery loves company.
Yeah,
Sort of an idea.
100%.
Yeah.
So I do see a lot of that out and about. So I think 100% it depends on the woman. It depends on the woman you're around. But just because you're around a woman who's older than you, it doesn't mean
she's got your best
yeah,
interest.
she might take you on the night out, and we're gonna go and do this. We're gonna play cougar. We're gonna play catch the cougar. You know what I mean? And you're coming along with us. You're 22. You haven't really got, but you're coming with us because this is how we party.
Yeah,
So you've got to be very careful. And this happens with men as well. This could be older men that they're not successful in whichever realm you want to call it. You could call it financial. You could call it career. You could call it relational. You could call it spiritual. All of these realms, if they're absent in them and they don't feel like they can progress, then you got to be careful. You can either be the person who can tell the cautionary tale to the youngster to make sure they don't tread the same path you do, or if you're feeling envious, then what you do is you'll drag him down into the gutter with you. And I think that's something that happens quite a lot, and it's something that seems to go under the radar, very, very subtle under the radar. Oh, she wants to come, it's a good time. We're going out to meet so and so and this and that. But yeah, my speaking to the ladies that I know in my life, a lot of them have struggled with their mothers being cruel to them, and disproportionately so to the son, the brother. They baby the brother, Oedipal mother. Oh, my son, you're going to stay with me forever. They have that kind of psychological Siamese twin with the son. It's almost like if there's no dad in the house, it's like you're our partner. You're my baby, but you're also kind of my husband, and we have that
I'm
back
gonna
and
say,
forth.
it's kind of like you're grooming him to be the man you want them to be.
That's exactly it.
Because you like, okay, I've created this man, so I'm gonna make him into the man I want.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a weird
Women do that with
kind
their
of
sons.
yeah.
I felt that from my mother, most definitely a little bit of that. Like, hey, these are the men that I was with, and this is what they had. So I'm gonna make sure that you don't have these things.
You're different.
And so I did grow up a kind boy. I never had any fire in me. That masculinity was just kind of just rubbed out. Do you know what I mean? And so I ended up becoming more of a codependent person, where I felt like I needed the approval of somebody else outside of myself. That started with mother, but then went out into the world for me needing other people's approval. And that's where the birth of the people pleaser comes from.
So what changed, or how did you change it? Was it a conscious thing that you decided one day, like, okay, now I've got a battle against, for example, like maybe you read the book and went, oh, this is the thing, that's the thing. Now I've got to consciously make these decisions, take these actions, so that in 5 to 10 years' time, this won't be the case anymore. Or did it just accidentally come about?
I think me leading with a lot of magician energy and lover energy, like, I became quite aware of things. I was hyper observant, so I was hyper observant of other people, and I'd sit back and I'll be the fly on the wall and watch what's unfolding. so I'd have a great awareness of right from wrong, but also I'll have a huge understanding of all my shortcomings as a human.
Right.
So like, I knew I wasn't the person that I wanted to be. I knew in my soul that I was a coward. I was just a cowardly person, and I knew that the vast majority of places I went, I was scared. And if shit kicked off, I might be the guy hiding underneath the table.
Right.
And I hated that about myself.
Right.
It's not that like, oh, I'm a coward and you just, you know, you are who you are.
Yeah.
And this is it. Like, I fucking...
Coward positivity, guys.
Yeah, fuck all of that. Fuck all of that shit.
You're like, that is not the man I want to be.
No, like, I knew it in the core of my soul that I had a problem here, a couple of them, and I needed to do something about it. And so, as much as I was naturally a bit more lazy, I wanted to relax and pleasure, I knew that there was going to be a process that I had to go through to get this fucking thing gone, man. Like, I don't want it to be a part of me. So my journey was always identifying, like, what is the problem? Like, I can't articulate the problem. I know that I feel this way when I'm in these scenarios, and my journey was always like, so how do I get a pin on this, and how do I fix this? And I didn't have any elders around that I could really openly have candid conversation with, or I was too scared to ask the questions.
Yeah, and again, that's the issue nowadays, is that everything kind of gets farmed out to the school as far as education goes.
And parenting.
School are, educating the kids to be the adults they're going to become, and it's almost all given over in one sense, but at the same time, none of it's really set up to teach people to be proper adults. They're just there to be employees. They're there to... Critical thinking's not really taught. It's not taught to, learn about the human body and the mind and how it interacts with itself and how it interacts with others and how, if you put it around this kind of thing or that kind of thing, there's none of that kind of shit. There's nothing real life experience taught, and
no training for individuality.
It's a whole shit show. And then everything's going online, so everything's getting more and more pushed towards online. There's more and more education being done by ChatGPT and AIs, which isn't fucking human. So it's teaching humans how to be human when it's not human, it's retarded. So, because it's also not got all the, you could argue the human's not got all the information, but the human still knows what it is to feel.
They've got the connection.
This AI doesn't know what it is to feel, so it doesn't really know anything in my mind in that way. Now you can go these arguments backwards and forwards, but
it's got the intellect, but it hasn't got the wisdom.
It's a tool, right? And if we can use the tool correctly, but you're not going to go, here's Makita drill, I'm going to let it raise my son. Like, it's not, it's fucking, be a human that teaches humans how to be a human, and if you're
is
a
it
human,
high impact drill?
Fucking very high impact. But if you're a human thinking, I don't think I'm fully formed, like you were sort of saying, this is an issue, this is where I'm at now. Yeah. If I want to have this kind of a future, there's these skills I lack. There's these areas that I need to work on, because doing this other, like maturing in this area of, okay, so my body is maturing, like my lungs are about 70 now. I've had my lung age be over 100 years old. I've had my body be that of like a 120-year-old man, Jesus basically just sitting like trembling, dying. And I've come back, so it has matured to that point, and it's kind of coming back. I'm trying to Benjamin Button this shit.
Yeah, let's go, Benjamin.
But it is that kind of idea of there's all these deficits, because I've had this time. Again, you're the child actor. You're focusing on recording the movie or the series, whatever it is. You haven't got the time to do this other thing, which all these other kids just get to do. They're not even realizing how lucky they are that they get to do this thing. Yeah. And you're over here like, wow, aren't you lucky you get to do this? Yeah, but I'm missing out on all of this shit.
Yeah.
So yes, I've got to do that, but I missed out on this. And now, when all of you guys are enjoying this thing, I've got to be over here working on this fucking craft because I missed out years ago. And that's...
Yeah, it's a big issue. And I think that when you're in one position and you can see your perks and your downfalls, if you're focusing on your downfalls, it's very easy to look across the street and point at that person and go, oh, you've got everything fucking figured out. You know what I mean? Like... a child who's in a house and is very well off, their parents might be working 60 hours a piece. They might never see their parents, have no connection to either the mother or the father.
They've always got new shoes, they've always got the new bag, they've always got the latest computer game or whatever it might be.
But you've been stuffed in the nursery since 8 months old, and you have no proper bond with either of your parents, and there's a giant, deep mother and father wound in your psyche, but other people can't see that. So what will happen is the kids who have got the rough trainers, they're going to point and say, well, you haven't got any problems, but they're just
a whole different set of problems.
Different set of problems, man.
Everyone's got problems.
And like, yeah, that's it. You might not have food on the table sometimes, but you might actually have a really good relationship with your mom.
You might get to laugh and joke and be honest and ask questions, and you know, you're not going to get reprimanded for kind of being a human being.
Yeah.
And, you know, sitting on the couch. But then other places like, don't sit on that couch, that's fucking 100 grand's worth of couch. Don't touch that. You know, it's like, well, but it's there to be, no, it's not there to be used, it's there to be looked at.
You are making me think of a scenario, not a scenario, but a memory I have in my head of a friend whose family was doing all right. Like my family was very much poverty vibes. It is what it is.
Breadline kind of.
Yeah, on the breadline for sure. When I went around to my friend's house, it was a really nice house. There was a car on the drive. It was a fancy drive. I was like, this is fucking beautiful. We went into the house, and the house was immaculate. And I was like, wow, like not envious, but like, wow, like look at all this stuff that he's got. Like, this is really cool.
To live like this.
Yeah, I don't have any of this, and it was this cream living room. If the friend ever listens, he'll know who he is. Cream living room, and the CD collections that are looking immaculate. I'm like, fucking hell, this is amazing. The grass in the back garden is it's fucking nice. What I didn't realise until we did something in the house, and he got absolutely butchered for it. He got absolutely fucking butchered for it. Was that he was living under an absolute tyranny. If anyone remembers Drop Dead Fred, the house where the little girl lives, she has the imaginary friend. It's all cream. The sofa, there's like, you know, the velvet things. Yeah, the velvet thing in the living room. Yeah. There's a cream sofa with a wrapping on it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, did it still have the wrapping on it?
Yeah. And it literally reminded me of my friend's house.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I didn't think about that. But now I realise that he has his own set of wounds from that household that he lived in. But in my eyes, as a poverty-ridden child, I thought that he was living the dream. And in actual fact, it wasn't. He was living with a completely different, deep set of scars and battles that he's had to fight.
Yeah, he would have had to tread on eggshells doing everything, everywhere. He would have had to live in a hyper-aware state of anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
With every movement,
everything, and that has trickled into his personality as well. He's naturally
stick up his arse, kind of in a sense, kind of.
No, he's actually, because of the downward pressure on him, he's become a joker. He's become a practical joker. He's tapped into the trickster, and one of the
that's his escape from all of that.
Thank you. And one of the roles that the trickster plays is it's great at relieving pressure. It's great at relieving the pressure of tyranny. And he does that.
And the trickster is which?
It's the magician.
Okay, it's so the tyranny is the king.
Yeah.
And the magician's the thing that balances out the king.
Yes.
And the lover is the balancing out the warrior.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So if you're living, or even if you yourself are too tyrannical, then it's gonna get met with some kind of humour, some kind of something like that. That's actually an interesting thing to know how to counter the thing that you need to counter.
The problem is,
yes, you go, okay, so I'm a magician, I'm always like this, so I need to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, so I need to do that. So,
yeah. It's a great way of looking at things, because like you say, it shows you the roadmap of where you need to go. But, what's going on over there? Well, if I can find where that person is, and I can put them on this part of the map, and I know that that's A, and I'm here, and I'm B, then to balance myself out regarding this, then I need to put myself over here.
So is there some kind of test that you can take that show? Because I know you've got the personality quiz, like the NFJTP fucking YMCA. So I wonder if there's like some sort of quadrant test where you could see how much of each one you are.
So I have seen one quadrant test, and it's not official, of course, because Robert Morse has passed away. Robert Moore has passed away, not Robert Morse. That's.
I'm sure Robert Morse also has passed away. I'm sure many Robert Morses in the history of ever.
But Empowered Men is one of the channels that I do watch, and it does cover stuff on the King, Warrior, Lover, Magician. And on the site it has a questionnaire.
Okay.
And so
how in depth is the questionnaire?
I feel like it was 20 or so questions. I felt like it was reasonably accurate.
Okay.
I'd say it was reasonably accurate, but it doesn't it will only give you so much, but if you're really out of balance in an area,
It'll highlight.
It will highlight
Yeah,
that, I
okay.
think. So I think being honest
for
with
example, like you say 20, but let's say you did like a 200 question thing.
Yeah.
It took you 2 hours, you know. You'd get a much more sort of detailed idea of where it is you might be lacking and what it is you could work on.
yes. The only thing that's hard to, I wouldn't say it's hard to comprehend, but the fact of the matter is, if you're pissed off and you take the quiz, and you're fucked off
You're
on that
going to
day,
answer differently, of course you
you're
are.
70% in your warrior.
Yeah,
Right now I am, because this has happened, the fucking bills come through, the babes are going to be at my door, and I've got knives behind there in case they fucking
I'll
bust
tell you
in,
what,
and this and that.
what I'm thinking of, some kind of a product, right? Some kind of a thing. So basically, what you could do then is you could, do you know, people wear that Zoe patch that tests their blood sugar over the course of like a month, right? And it spikes, it does all these different things. So it could like kind of ask you questions through the day at different things. And so another thing could just be even the time it takes you to respond, you know? And it could also be the time it takes you to respond from looking at the question, it kind of some sort of eye tracking thing. Oh, fuck me, you know, a bit of a head scratcher. And so it's not just how you respond, but it's how you respond.
Yeah.
You know, that, and so it's not just necessarily a tick box thing as well. You could actually maybe have to answer a question. You might have to do a voice note thing. Like, the idea being that if you're around a person, you pick up on all these subtle cues that, answering a 20-point questionnaire, totally, you're going to answer it differently. Mm-hmm. And if it could be some sort of thing where it asks the same question in a different way on a different day, to see if you would give the same response.
So with the Stronghold project, I want to do that with like the start of each week. It might eat into the time of explaining the 4 quarters, but definitely you could do that as a self-assessment form.
I think it's a good shout, you know.
See how you're feeling about certain things. Get yourself on a graph and point to the types of emotions that you're feeling, because emotions are such great indicators of where you're at. Like if you're feeling frustration and rage most of the time, you can guarantee that your problem is in the warrior quarter. And the way to balance that would be to go to the other quarters.
And so if you're feeling lonely, that is lack of connection, so that is the lover. So you need to work on that side of things.
Yes, 100%. So like usually these different things will give indication to what quarter you're in, and then you can go to the other quarters. And once those are in balance, that's when the king will truly come online. The king is the last stage of development, and if any of those 3, it's a quadratic structure, but if any of the other 3 are truly out of balance, you won't be able to be generative. You won't be able to be generative, because if you're disconnected and you're really heavy in your magician, you can't be generative because you're not there.
You're not there. And if you're so much in your warrior that you don't even think about and you're not aware of the rest of the world around you. So and that, like, so again, going back to because the loneliness thing, I think, is a bigger thing nowadays. The dating market is horrendous. You know, obviously you're partnered, not married, and have kids, and so you're essentially a long-term relationship, as good as married, cohabitating, all the rest of it. And so myself is, single. I've actually chosen to be single. I've been single now for many years, but it's not where I want to stay. You know what I mean? But at the same time, not wanting to just have any old thing, it makes it difficult, because then it's like, okay, well, if I'm looking for something real decent and I'm where I'm at in life, being aware of all these things, I've got a lot of hard work to do, and there's no guarantee of any payoff.
I think that's the hard thing.
That's the tough thing.
You could do all the things, find a partner, get into the relationship, build the trust, and then have your heart tore out.
Exactly. And if you've already had your heart torn out before, you're less likely, you're more reluctant to do it.
Yeah, once bitten, twice shy, for sure.
On the flip, if you've been in a few fights and you know what it is to take a punch, and you go, I can handle a punch or two, versus you've never been in a fight ever, and the idea of even getting a little flick on the nose is terrifying. So it's kind of, well, which one's the best? Is it better to have been through and been scarred and have all those kind of, oh shit, or is it better to have never had anything, so you don't know, but also you don't know if you can handle it? And I think the answer is either way, it fucking sucks.
I think
I'm sorry, where I was going with that basically
you
is
can't escape the suffering.
Loneliness is more and more common because less and less people are connected in various different ways. We're more and more behind screens. We're more and more in smaller cubicles, behind doors, and it's rather than being more communal, we're more sovereign, we're more isolated than we've ever been. And so as a result, it's not just the whole sexual connection thing, it's just connection in general.
Yeah.
Connection to other human beings.
I think people
older,
don't understand.
younger, doesn't matter, whether they're blue, green, or purple, it doesn't, none of that shit, in terms of, these are my people. Like in America right now, it's all about, what is it, the two fucking political parties. You're left and you're right. Give a fuck, mate. Most people are actually pretty much in the middle. Hey man, do you wake up every day and take a shit? Yeah, man, every day I'll take a shit. I shit every 2 days, but you still shit, right? Yeah, okay. So everybody poops, right? Yeah, cool. And do you go to sleep? Yeah, I go to sleep. I only sleep 4 hours. I sleep 6. We both sleep. Yeah, we both sleep. Rather than like looking and highlighting the differences. You're one of those people who sleeps at the 5-hour range, and I sleep at the 6-hour range. So you and I can't be friends.
Yeah.
So like, fuck that noise, mate. Yeah. There are so many people who are good for you that you don't agree with, or you don't like the look of them, or whatever it might be, but they can be of benefit to your life. Not in a you give me shit and I take it, not in a zero-sum way, but in a it goes around. So that £5 that buys me dinner is then a £5 that buys you the paper and the groceries and this, and that same £5 buys someone. That £5's not just worth a fucking £5, it's worth millions in its lifetime. It's that kind of an idea. Yeah. And so this idea of connection, it's going online, again the irony of us being online, but going online to find connection is fucking retarded in my mind.
It's a tricky one because being disconnected as far as staying in your house and not going out there and putting yourself out there for love, not going out there and putting yourself out there for relationships. If we're looking at doing the work and potentially suffering and not doing the work and suffering
more,
a lot of men are picking because they know what it's going to be. There's less risk. They're guaranteed to suffer. Yeah. But there's less risk and there's no work needed. Mm-hmm. I don't need to put in any work and there's no risk. That sounds a lot more appetizing sometimes than I have to put in a lot of work and it's high risk.
Yeah. And it still might not work.
Yeah. I could put in a lot of work.
You might get rewarded.
And it still might be fucked. It still might be fucked.
And actually, do you know what's mad? So I said last week, I don't identify as a loser because I often have won many things. I've lost many things, but I identify as someone who at least can win shit.
Yeah.
I guess if you've never ever won anything, why would you even think that you could? Why would you think you could be one of the guys that succeeds if you've never succeeded in your mind? And so me having succeeded often, I'm still struggling. I'm still finding that difficult. So again, it's like, wow, man, I've actually got a lot of advantages in many ways and have done things in the past and therefore in many more ways could find it easy and have kind of no excuse, no reason, whatever. But even I'm like, fuck this shit, lock the world away, everyone's a moron.
It's easy to do because you only have to interact with 2 or 3 people that are just like, to make you think, what is the point in this? And that's why it's super important to pick who you surround yourself with, because depending on the type of person you are and how you interact with a different type of person, it can take your energy or it can give you energy. So I was having a conversation with my friend yesterday. Like, it's not that you need to lock yourself away from people. You need to surround yourself with people who, when you leave them, you have more energy than when you met them. So if you meet someone and you're at 3 energy, once you leave, are you at 0 energy or are you at 6 energy? Like how are you feeling, regardless of what their fucking accolades are, how smart they are, what they look like, what they dress like? None of that really truly matters.
Do they drain you or do they fill you up?
Yes. Are they filling your soul or are they sucking your soul? And that's where the articulation needs to happen on an energy level. I think people are very speculative about talking about energies because they think it's too spiritual and too woo-woo. But the fact of the matter is we're all energetic beings. If you've ever been robbed at knife point, you know about energy. If you've ever been intimidated by a bully, you know about energy. If you've ever been pulled into the head teacher's office, unless you're Fonz, or the head teacher's walked into your classroom while you're kind of pissing around, you know about energy. It's there. And so making sure that you surround yourself with people who give you energy rather than take it is definitely, that's the way to be. You've got to find people who give you energy, and they might not be the people that you think they are.
So going then back to this, the original question, tying it back around to the start in terms of maturity, is there such thing as a mature energy that we can pick up on from people?
Yeah, generative king, I'd say.
Okay.
That is.
And what does that mature energy, from the outside, what does that look like?
It looks like a person who is calm, positive, quite hard to knock out of their frame. They don't get irritated and pissed off easy.
It's like they're hard to rile them up.
Yeah, like it's not to say they're above being riled up.
No.
It's still in there.
I'm too easy to rile up sometimes, I think. Sometimes I leave the house already riled.
Yeah,
That's my issue.
And that's when your crown's off. It doesn't mean you're...
Because there are days I'm like, I am unrileable.
Yeah.
You know, and there are certain times where I will 100% shine through when everyone else is flailing. Yeah. That's when I'll stand up and be like, guys, come on, like we've been through, I've been here 10 times before, and it's all. But there are other times where I would, over the slightest little thing, I'm like, man,
I needed to know. Yeah. So mine would be rock steady, in a positive way, like someone who, like, if someone has a collision with you, daily better. Is you're like a level up, you know, like a big dot on Pac-Man.
Right, I've never played Pac-Man.
What? Oh my god!
That's why this works, man.
Oh my god!
Because you're one of the people who did all the games and read all the books and all that kind of stuff. And me, I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know of Pac-Man.
Yeah. I know about that guy. He's yellow, isn't he? Yeah.
Waka, 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 waka.
That's
See,
the
I
one.
know that. Yeah. Again, because of Family Guy. In fact, most of my education is
Through Family Guy. That's funny. But that's what I would describe as someone who's got that maturity. There's a subtlety in it, in maturity for me. You've got guys who end up being one-sided men. They are balanced, they are calm, but they're cold and mechanical. And they lack the warmth, they lack the positivity, and they lack the ability to connect.
Right.
These would be your typical red pill guys. I've got the six-pack, I'm dressing the dress, I presented very well, I can articulate myself, I'm mature, I'm not losing it, but there's something fucking missing in them. Right. And you can feel it. There's something missing in you. Like your ability to engage with and uplift people. And your...
they lack character in that sort of sense. Because they've maybe never done the tough thing. They've never had to overcome the situation. They never necessarily lacked. They don't know what it is to lack, so therefore they lack empathy.
Yeah, they usually lack in the lover quarter. They're doing all these mechanical... I'm doing the task, I'm working the job, I'm getting the money, I'm building the business, I'm doing this. Oh, but also fuck women and kids. Like, I won't tell you fuck women, you know. But
this is how I actually feel.
How my body language is giving off is that.
And actually again, really, do you know what, you do see that when it's kind of like when the dog's around, you can instantly tell people who are afraid of dogs. Yeah, you do that. So when kids are around, people who don't like kids, they're just fucking wait.
Yeah, you can feel it on them. They just like these are not part of my scope. They detach themselves from anything that isn't their task, their problem, you know, and that makes them not generative. Because they're not generative. If you pick that guy up out of
zero sum to them, they just want to take and
pick him up out of the business office with his 50 employees, spin the fucking wheel, drop him in a park with a bunch of kids and women and other stuff like that. Is he still generative?
Bit of chaos, bit of things where he's not the top dog, all of these
Can
kind
he
of...
play? Can he be humble?
Yeah.
Can he communicate?
Can he look the fool?
Yeah.
Is
he humble? Because you drop people in those situations and they can't handle it. They can't handle not being the top dog. Well, in the office, I'm the fucking boss. Yeah. And so whenever I go, I've got to be the boss. I don't follow instructions. I give instructions. Like, you think you're mature in certain areas, and in a financial setting you will be allowed to get away with those pathologies. But the fact of like society will, if you're pathological and you're warrior and you're magician, society will reward you because you become a task-based maniac that solves problems. And so everyone will, oh, that's the boss, he does the problems, when actually he's a cold cunt and he's not a likable person. So he's one-sided and he's not mature. Society might tell you that you're the guy, the pinnacle, but you're actually not balanced and mature. You're missing a big chunk of psyche, of who you are and who you could be. And I think a lot of people don't realise that. They think that the guys making all the money are the balanced and mature guys, and so we have to follow them. The fact is, to get to them heights, a lot of times they've got to sacrifice a chunk of their soul to get there. A lot of times.
Because there are no solutions, only trade-offs.
Yes.
So, on that then, we want to be trying to be more calm, more generative, less shakeable or more unshakable, and give blessings. So on that, give us blessings, compliments, likes, subscribes, all that kind of shit. I'm good at tying this stuff. That's why I'm here, guys.
That was the perfect layup, man.
I know. We'll see you again next week.
Give us a blessing. Big love, guys. Take it easy.